Welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
I love the beat of that countdown.
I hate that countdown.
You know, they got a bunch of different ones.
Yeah, I know. It's very tranquil, and I'm used to it. So I just
If you do the sci-fi one, it's like an anime. It's an anime thing where like a giant spaceship is taking off. It's pretty great.
awesome,
Just saying.
awesome. Well, hello, Mikey and Robert.
Hello there, sir.
Today's episode of the Wednesday Weekly Late Night Party is going to focus a lot on Filipino entertainment appreciation. That's what
that could go one of two ways.
That was Mikey's that was Mikey's goal for tonight. After our successful Voltus 5 stream that Mikey and I did, that is nearing 30,000 views. So I have to say that's
more than I ever get.
That's a pretty impressive live stream.
Shit, man. Come on, subscribe to my channel. Fuck it.
Let's go. Like and subscribe. Subscribe to the Burnett work. Hey,
please.
A friend of mine asked me, that he was like, Zod, you're doing a stream now with Robert Meyer Burnett. How does Rob feel about being sponsored by the John Campea show? And I just kind of smiled out of the side of my mouth thinking, well, I don't know. I guess I'll have to ask Rob because there isn't a John Campea show anymore, is there? I mean,
there's a podcast.
How does that work?
I mean, here's the thing. What people forget is I first streamed with John Campea in April of 2015.
Yeah.
2015. And, after I got canceled for the second time on Collider or whatever, it was John Campea that called me up and said, hey, why don't you come stream with me and we'll do the Weekly Hero? And that was in August of 2018. And so I had been streaming with John Campea since August of 2018. Now it's 2023. And, I think that John and I did a lot of great work together. And I worked on his documentary, and I have the utmost respect for him in terms of what he's accomplished. He's always trying to change things up. I mean, I thought we had a great 2022 on his channel. I thought it was great. And I thought the team he put together, we were having the best time. Chris Carr, Jonathan Boyko, his brother-in-law, Ray Ora, Taylor Gonzalez, myself, we were having the best time. It was so much fun. But I understand that it was becoming a little bit like, what was it? Movie Talk 2.0, 3.0, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was moving away from the John Campea show, even though it was still the John Campea show and he did put us together. So I understand, where he's coming from. I was having a great time on the show. I mean, interestingly enough, I was on Christian Harloff's show, The Big Thing, yesterday. And I was on with Roxy Stryer and Christian, and we had a great time. It was so much fun. And so many people have been writing to me about that appearance. And Christian called me. He's like, can you come on regularly on the show? And I'm like, the only problem with that is for me, it's a 2-hour drive there. It took me 4 hours to drive home.
It's all in studio stuff.
Yeah, his is in studio, and he's got a great house in a great location in LA, and really, really cool. And I've always loved Christian, and we had a great time on that show yesterday. And I mean, we moved an hour east of where we lived in Pasadena, so I literally have to traverse the busiest highway in Los Angeles, which is the 10, and I have to go basically 120 miles to get to his house. So there's no easy way to get there's no easy way to get there. And the thing is, coming back was the worst. It took me 4 hours to get home. And the problem is a 6-hour drive to and fro is too much because I still have to build up my channel, and make it all work. But it's like, John's sponsoring the channel for 2 months. He came on for 2 months, which is, I thought that was very nice of him. We're going to sponsor other people's channels. I don't know what he wants to do, but he's always trying to change things up. I would say, look, I'm very proud of the work I did with John for 4.5 years.
That's awesome. I mean, I when I think about all of that, and I look at, and I look at your channel and all the things you're accomplishing over at Robservations, and I'm seeing a lot of my friends and people that I, look up to, like, yeah, this is great seeing how, you people were all of us are trying to grow, as content creators and trying to do all this great stuff. And here we are, Rob, with Mikey Sutton, who, a year and a half ago didn't want nothing to do with YouTube, and here he is. He's streaming. He streams with he's like you, Rob. He streams with everybody.
Well, but Mikey knows that I've always been a fan of his.
Yeah,
from the very beginning.
I've always been a fan of yours. And you know what? Here's the funny thing. There's a lot of weird animosity between YouTubers.
Yeah,
there's all kinds of what I like to get, what we called it in college. There's a lot of drama happening here. A lot of drama, and that's DRAAAAAAAMA, drama. I don't do drama. The actual my mission statement. Like if I had a Jerry Maguire mission statement about my channel, I say it at the end of every show. Every person you meet has a story to tell. That you have yet to hear, and all you have to do is listen. We're all fans, and like I grew up with a thick skin. I mean, I used to go to before there was lots of like Comic-Con. I went to literary sci-fi conventions, talk about a curmudgeonly, horrible, like guys that are like literally guys in their mother's basements reading books. They're choking up the dust of their old sci-fi paperbacks. I mean, I grew up with that. So I was used to cantankerous dudes having arguments about warp drive or quantum singularities. Like, you don't understand what this means.
I'm reminded by what you're saying right now, because, the last 2 days I'd been indulging some free time playing that new Star Trek Resurgence.
What do you think? I mean, people are telling me it's great. I got to get it.
Oh my God. It is the most fun I've had with Star Trek since Picard season 3. So
yeah, well, you mean this?
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Let me just say, I mean, a lot of people say, hey, I'll send you something. I'm like, look what Zod Rider did for me. This shows up today. A slipcase. I mean, you can even see it's all like got a holographic band right here. I mean, this is some choice bootleg Picard season 3.
That's right. Only the best. If you're gonna get a bootleg, it better be the best. That's all I got.
Zod Rider. And now, just before everyone gets their knickers in a bunch, I'm gonna buy the actual real release.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, absolutely. That's completely.
Of course.
There's no reason not to. It's just that when you see something that cool, when you see something that unique,
I mean, and even if you look the way it's printed on this like nice cardboard stock with
stock. Yeah.
I mean, it's
slip cover, slip cover that folds out.
Oh, I feel like Vanna White. Hello.
I'm blown away. That's a bootleg. I thought it was a real release. I was like, oh, I don't have one yet.
Shit, man. I mean, if you look at this, China Record Company, they even put it, and that's part of the holographic. Why don't we do an unboxing right now? I mean, because why not? I'm gonna unbox it. So look at this. Here's the holographic. I mean, they even make the pull. I mean, and it is holographic if you look at it. This even, you can't even see it, but it's got the name of the company, the China Record Company. So you can go after them if you want, if Paramount was so into piracy. I mean, look at this. This is dope as fuck. Oh, can I say fuck?
That's a bootleg.
I mean, crap. Wait, this is a boot. Hang on, let me get an X-Acto knife and cut this out because I don't want to, So this is a total bootleg. But look at this. If you feel the power, this is like it's a plastic cover, and then look, ooh, it's an O-ring, and you open it up, and oh my God, like the Chinese love to print pictures on their discs. It's all good, but look at that. Come on, man. And they've got different pictures. They got different. I mean, they knew somebody cared. To the bootleggers, the people that bootleg this, the Chinese that stole this IP. They cared.
They
cared.
cared to make
I mean,
You gotta
they
give him credit for
actually,
that.
these bootleggers care. These are like people that used to bootleg Prince live concerts. They
Yeah.
cared. They care about the work they do. And my God, good on them. Look, dude, this is raised. This is like raised writing. This is like a number one.
Well, I think of the fan subs for anime back in the 80s and 90s. That's all we
Oh,
could
yeah.
get were the fan subs, you know.
Well,
Those
no,
are
I
real
mean, I used
fans,
to,
you know.
I found my favorite animated series of all time, which is Legends of the Galactic Heroes, as a bootleg, Chinese bootleg, because it was the only way I could get it subtitled in English.
I tell you
And-
what, I'm glad you mentioned those, Rob, because a friend of mine has a complete toy collection of that series that are super rare. I don't know where he found them.
Wait a minute, does he have all the resin ships?
Yeah, he has them.
And
Yes.
I've got, dude, I have the smaller ships.
Yeah.
I lost all. I lost the Brunhilde, the my one 250th scale, 2500 scale resin kit because it was in my storage locker. But I have to say, I do have the Sentai Filmworks 8. The most money I ever spent on any physical media was the $800 I spent on the Legends of the Galactic Heroes box set.
Wow.
$800.
Wow. And
Sentai
now is that a
Filmworks.
boot? Now is that a boot? No, that's not a boot.
No, it's an official. It's an official release.
Sentai
Yeah.
Filmworks.
Totally official release. Yeah. And
Yeah.
no one knows it. People are like, what? They don't even know it. It's the greatest. It is the single greatest space fantasy anime ever made.
Yes.
Ever.
Yes, it is.
Ever.
So it's absolutely
Ever.
brilliant.
And by the way, there is a
new.
new. I have the 3 seasons, of the new version. It's
Yeah.
not nearly as good. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay, but it doesn't reach the heights of the Space Battleship
Oh,
Yamato
those are-
2199, 2203, and 2205. So,
Well, while we're talking about about great science fiction epics and things that are just amazing, like Star Trek Picard season 3, Voltus 5 Legacy, straight out of the Philippines, is so authentic to the original animated series. It's insane.
and it's live action.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, I can't wait to see that shit, dude. I'm so excited.
Yeah, they made 80 episodes, which is on daily, Monday through Friday in the Philippines.
I mean, that's insane. How long was their production? Like, how long did it take them to make 80?
I think it was, in terms of filming, I think the filming took a year, but the special effects took longer than that, obviously. But they've been developing this show since 2009.
2009, yeah, and it shows.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got such great costume designs. The ships look amazing. The giant the giant robots and robo beasts look incredible.
Yeah. And the interesting part is the Dreamwalker issue I sent you, that was drawn while Noel Leon Flores, my artist, was designing the show. He's a visual designer of Voltus 5. And he was this comic book took a year for him to draw because he was doing Voltus 5 at the same time. And it just blew my mind. Like when I see Voltus 5, I'm like, so Noel was designing costumes while he was drawing this book. It's just the wildest thing ever.
I can't wait. I mean, only from what I've seen the clips, it looks fantastic. So
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's very consistent with what you see in the trailers. And the people who made this show, they grew up on it. So it's like a dream come true, being able to work on something that you grew up on. I mean, it's like you doing a Star Trek movie, which, God, wouldn't that be killer?
It almost happened,
I
Mikey. It almost happened.
I tried.
Rob tried, and if Rob would have been able to do what he wanted to do, if Rob would have been able to do what he wanted to do, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now because Rob would be busy with another Star Trek film.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't get it. I'm gonna just I have so many feelings when it comes to that. I mean, it's you got somebody like Robert Meyer Burnett who wants to do Star Trek and do it justice.
But you have to remember, you have to have the credibility.
Yeah.
And all I can say is that I've been on my entire Hollywood career has been on the fringes of everything. I've never had a big commercial success. I've never been cool. I've continued to work, and I've been able to have I've done work that I'm really proud of, and I think I've had a great career. But I'm a journeyman workaday guy. What I need is normally people my age have given up, but through attrition, I keep going. I'm gonna keep, even in the face of the tsunami of AI willing to sweep away all entertainment, I'm gonna continue on. I'm gonna soldier on, and I mean, I don't know if I was hired to work on Star Trek if I could play with others well. I might be I mean, usually I'm really easily.
But you're a purist. That's what we need. We need a purist in charge.
But you also need to work with a lot of other talented artisans to make something. And I could be. I mean, I think I'm really easy to work with. But when it came to Star Trek, I mean, look, I watched the new trailer for Star Trek: Strange New Worlds that came out today.
Oh my God.
And I wanted to take. I was really, one of those people that I want to be blinded now, and I was gonna slit my eyebrows.
It was literally vomit inducing. Is how horrible it was. I'm with you.
I've said that it's like tonight at Caesar's Palace. It's Strange New Worlds, the great new show here in Vegas. See handsome commander and his hot chicks traveling through the universe and having great adventures. Hit on the genetically engineered chick. I mean, it's so like it's like being an explorer. This is literally a line in the trailer. Being an explorer is awesome.
Oh God, no.
It is, and it's like I'm looking at this. I'm like, who the fuck? It is Strange New Worlds. I know people. Oh, I love it's like the original series. I'm like, you did not watch the original series. You have a pop culture sense memory of what the original series is. You have a cable guy understanding of the original series. No one, and nowadays people just make fun of it. And I'm like, my God, I watched Strange New Worlds, and I'm like, I was watching Star Trek when I was 5 years old. Now I'm watching Star Trek that was made for 5-year-olds, and it's like it's so weird to me that there's no sophistication.
And they all think that that's the original series. That's what's so funny. Like they all, it's like what?
It is so bizarre to me because here's the thing: they can't get past. Honestly, there's a level of intelligence that I think that is sorely lacking from modern civilization. Mm-hmm. And they can't, what they do is they look at things from the past and they immediately judge them based on right now. And you have to look at things and understand the context of where they were when they were introduced. Star Trek was introduced to the American public on television on September 8th, 1966. Almost in 3 years, it'll be 60 years ago. A century, half a century plus 10 years. And at the time, a thoughtful science fiction show like that was brand new. And when we look back at it, all anybody sees are the superficialities of it all. Because of the colors, because of the production values, they can't see what the writers were trying to do. And you had some of the great, like the original Twilight Zone, some of the great fantasists of the time, some of the great writers of the time that were novelists, that were playwrights, that were short story writers, that were also writing TV. And we had some of the greatest TV writers at the time writing for Star Trek. And it's really frustrating that now people look back at Star Trek and they laugh at it and they write it as if it's a goof. And it drives me crazy because it shows that the people, what they're doing is rather than put themselves back in the time it was made and try and understand it on that level, they're looking back on it down their noses. And they think of themselves as, well, of course, I understand that show is just a little silly and we're going to make it more palatable for the modern age. I'm like, fuck off. Fuck off. Great storytelling great storytelling endures. And you, by the way, no one who's writing the show was as educated or had the life experience as the people that wrote the original series. So everything they write, you watch that trailer That trailer is a bastardization of everything that Star Trek is. It is so it is so juvenile. I feel like, oh, someone made Star Trek for like a junior high school, a middle school audience.
Yep.
There's no sophistication. I mean, why isn't Star Trek written like Succession or Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad? Why aren't we getting that? Star Trek used to be the most sophisticated.
They don't want to pay those types of writers.
We'll get AI to write it.
No, I mean, they don't. It kills me that all of this. I mean, why is it that Star Trek is being controlled by the lowest common denominator? The people that are least. I mean, at least Terry Matalas, who comes from the old school, tried to write something. The reason that I love Star Trek Picard 3 so much, by the way, did you know that I have it on bootleg Blu-ray? The reason I loved it so much was because it was heartfelt and emotional, and it was about real things like parents that have children, that have lost children, and yet still have to find the wherewithal to go on in the face of great adversity. There's real emotion and there's real human pathos in Star Trek Picard Season 3. And in Strange New Worlds, it's like, oh my God, we're going to crash. Do you think you're going to make it? They literally, in that trailer, how many times do we see the cliche where the ship goes behind the hill, like, it's going to crash. And then, no, it comes up. I mean, how many times? That is the writing. Star Trek Strange New Worlds is cliche after cliche after cliche after cliche. It is a horribly written science fiction series.
You just reminded me of what Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel used to complain about, the car chase scenes that end up with them crashing into a fruit stand.
Oh my God.
Right?
And you know why they did that? Because it's an easy way to have stuff go flying that isn't expensive.
Yeah.
And Strange New Worlds is written by children. Akiva Goldsman, if you look into the past, I mean, hey, go back and look at his awesome Lost in Space movie.
Oh no, is that the one with Matt LeBlanc?
Oh
God.
He was on fire writing Batman and Robin and Lost in Space. And I'm sure he walks into every meeting carrying his Oscar for A Beautiful Mind, putting on the desk going, does any of you have any objections to my script? Here's my Oscar.
Well, you think of the original Star Trek, they had Harlan Ellison.
Richard Matheson, Samuel Peoples. I mean, you had Norman Spinrad. You had all these great novelists. I mean, I'm like, if you know what, I would almost say that the only way you should be allowed to write a Star Trek episode is if you've also written a novel. You have to have written. Here's what I would say. If I was doing a Star Trek series, I'm like, okay, the only people on the writing staff, like, if you want to write Star Trek, you have to be a published novelist first.
There you go.
If you're not, you can't come on the right. And then I would also say you have to be a published novelist, and you had to have written television or a screenplay before too. Both of those things.
I can totally support that and endorse that. I'm telling you, if they were to give you Star Trek, Rob, it'd be game over, because it would be a totally different thing. Like,
if only I had bought crypto 10 years ago, when people are like, I could have bought a bunch of crypto, sold it for at its height, and made billions of dollars. I just would have bought. I would have gone to Paramount and bought Star Trek and made my own and made it. But
so we look at this and we look at all this nonsense, and then we look at what Well,
let's go to Voltus 5.
Voltus 5, yeah.
I would ask you both, what makes it so good? It's a Filipino show based on Japanese anime.
Yeah.
So how is it as good as it is? Why? How did it happen?
The very reason why you're not liking a lot of new Star Trek, that it's deeply respectful to its roots. There's nothing in there that would offend a hardcore fan of the original. It doesn't make those kind of changes. It doesn't have uncharacteristic dialogue. Like, I can't imagine the word awesome being spoken in a Star Trek show. It just sounds atrocious. It doesn't have those things in there, and it fills in the gaps that the original anime series didn't have. It has some background information on the villains and everything, some backstory that is really interesting and really fleshing out the characters. And so the director of the show, he said that I grew up on this series, and there's no way I'm going to butcher this. And you can tell he has a love for the source. And I think, Rob, these people that you're telling me about who are writing Star Trek right now, I don't think they grew up on it. I don't get that
Well, I mean,
impression.
Akiva Goldsman's like, I went to a Star Trek convention, and I'm like, you probably went to it to make fun of the people there.
Hey, yeah, exactly. Maybe pick up on girls who dress up like a Uhura or something, right?
I mean, well, if you look at that show, it's like there's a descendant of Khan Noonien Singh on this show, Leon Noonien Singh, and like now Kirk's hitting on her. It's like, really? I mean, how creatively bankrupt? Like we have to do Khan again, and oh wait, there's a descendant of Khan. No, you know why there wouldn't be? Because they fled Earth. They left Earth. There's no descendants of Khan. He left his inner circle. He took it with him when they left on the Botany Bay, the DY-100 class. I mean, and it's so dumb. And they steal Uhura, Dr. Mbenga. You know, they steal Kirk. They steal Scotty. He was heard on it's like, guys, how about do a new show? Create new characters.
Well, they tried that though with Star Trek Discovery, and that didn't work out very well for them.
Well, that was a bastardization of Brian Fuller's.
Well, because wasn't Discovery supposed to be an anthology series?
Well, he talked about it, but then I mean, look, the funny thing, even the Discovery itself, the ship was there was going to be a Star Trek movie in the mid-'70s called Star Trek Planet of the Titans. And Toshiro Mifune was going to play a Klingon, and Ralph McQuarrie designed the new Enterprise, which is what they used to make the Discovery. And so Discovery is an amalgamation of a bunch of other creators, and Alex Kurtzman came in, and because it was more expensive than CBS thought, Brian Fuller was dismissed. Nicholas Meyer, who made Star Trek II, was dismissed, and Alex Kurtzman came in, took it over, and they bastardized it, and they turned it into, in my estimation, the worst science fiction show ever made. Wow. Star Trek Discovery is the worst televised science fiction film ever made. I know it's got great production values and all this, but the shows are so brain dead and dunderheadedly stupid that I can't, even the science. There's a scene in the second season where they have like this red angel, and these lights all appear, and they show it. They show these lights appearing at the same time in the galaxy, in the Milky Way, like from different points that are hundreds of thousands of light years away, and they all illuminate at the same time. And I'm like, you guys don't know how the speed of light works, do you? You wouldn't know those things are there because the speed of light is 186,000 miles a second. That light would have taken 100 years to reach where you are, and they didn't all turn on at the same time because you wouldn't have been able to see it, because that's not how the speed of light works. And yet in Star Trek Discovery, they ask you to believe that. I was throwing beer cans at my plasma TV, which is terrible to say because I love my plasma TV.
And you love your beer cans too.
I do, especially when they're full.
Yeah,
but it was bad.
I mean, so with to piggyback off of what Mikey was saying about Voltus 5, it has the key here, and the one word that I want to use to describe it, and that Rob you'll be able to relate to, is authenticity.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
when you have something that's authentic, that clearly is not trying to disrespect the source material in any way, is trying to build on the mythology while staying completely true to it and not reinventing the wheel, actually adapting the anime for the most part.
Yeah.
I don't want to say like a mirror match, but almost, because you have some things in there, some things that have been added into the live action show, clearly for live action purposes, that's not in the anime. I'm in the process of writing a huge article for Geekosity, breaking down the similarities and differences between the anime and the live action show, and I'm going into detail where I'm talking about various characters, vessels, heroes, villains. I mean, you name it. It's going to be very, very comprehensive. I'm working on it at this point, and I need to see more of the show.
Yeah.
But to this point where we are with the show, it's very authentic. It carries that authenticity that a lot of shows that we see now, especially in the modern age, like Strange New World, Star Trek Discovery, they don't have that authenticity that we need in order to, if you're a longtime fan, to jump on board.
Yeah.
So here out of the Philippines comes something completely unexpected. How do they get the money to do a show like this with these special effects? And the show allegedly cost 1 billion pesos to make, Rob.
Well, here's the thing. It's never a question of money. It's a question of conviction.
Yeah.
And I think that what happens is that you need filmmakers, the people that are making the show, first of all, to understand what they're doing and how they're doing it. And nowadays, I think that Hollywood, I did a video on this I dropped today. Hollywood does not know how to make movies for The Hunt for Red October was made for $30 million and it came out in 1990. If that movie were made today, it'd be 200 million. Nobody knows how to make that movie for $30 million. And I understand prices have gone up, but the thing is, nobody knows how. In the Philippines, they don't have $30 million to make a movie.
No.
So you have a half century, actually a lot more than that. Asian cinema, especially Asian sci-fi, has always known how to make science fiction movies for a price. I mean, Inashiro Honda, if you look at the entirety of Japanese science fiction and then what China has done and Korea as well, and now the Philippines, there is a long tradition of making science fiction in Asian countries where people understand that miniatures are okay. You know, if Rodan is dying in the fires of Mount Fuji, it's okay that it's a miniature. And we know it's a miniature. And audiences expect that. They get it. So they're able to pull off great things. And now with modern technology and the way they shoot stuff, you know, it's no longer like a 50 millimeter lens from a distance. They're getting up close and personal. They're doing amazing things with the visuals so they can give you something that's really, really cool.
And what's really shocking about Voltage 5 Legacy is that I don't see Filipino movies with this kind of a budget. It's like a TV show which has triple the budget of one of their films, like their live action films. It just amazes me that they're able to pull this off. And you know, I scooped I scooped this show years ago. It was one of my first scoops when I was still anonymous. I was hiding under secret Facebook groups and scooping stuff on there. I went public with this because I felt that a lot of my Filipino friends would want to know about this, and it shocked me, Rob. I was like, "There's no way they could pull this off." Because I was thinking, okay, all Filipino shows are daily. There's no weekly shows like we have here. They're all daily.
Right.
So I'm like, you're gonna do Voltage 5 as a daily soap opera? That's what I was imagining in my head. How are they gonna do this? You know? So I put this news out there, and Noel Leon Flores contacted me. He goes, "Yeah, you know, I'm actually working on the show." I'm like, "Oh, so it's real. They're really doing this, you know." And the special effects company is Filipino.
Yeah, I mean, now they can do. I mean, all you need is people that know what they're doing, and they're creative, and they know, like always, they know what they're doing with their budgets. I mean, if you have people that care, that have a certain creative verve and know what they're doing, you can make anything.
And you know, I want to mention this too, Robbie, because you bring up something with Strange New Worlds. With Voltage 5 Legacy, their mission was to get the original fans to watch the show. They wanted to make them happy. Instead of like, well, fuck the fans, we'll get some new fans. You know what I mean?
Right.
They wanted to get the original fans, and they're working with Toya on what was consulting with the producers on the show, make sure everything is correct. That's how authentic they wanted to make it, and they were really going after, my generation, our because Voltage 5 came out in '78. So it's people in their 50s, really. And they felt that the hook of the giant mecha would get the kids in, and they'll watch it anyway just for the giant mecha. Um, but they wanted to get the older people who love the show and make them happy, which is why I think that's when franchises go wrong, when they forget the original fans and then just like, you know what, we'll just get this new crowd and see if they like it. You know, and I can't help but compare it to Michael Bay's Transformers. You could tell watching those films he doesn't care about Transformers. He didn't grow up on it. He was older already by the time they came out. Even he said that he didn't want GI Joe in there because they were silly. Like every geek wants to see GI Joe versus Transformers. He couldn't relate. So he put flames on Optimus Prime and all these things that just horrified fans. But he didn't care about it. He just wanted, the new people to come in and watch it, and he felt the old people would just, well, they'll watch it anyway because it's the first live
Well,
action Transformers.
I mean, what I find very funny about the idea of these IPs, like, look,
Yeah,
even Transformers when it was made
yeah.
was a crass commercialization of taking Japanese toys
Yep, it
that
was,
exist
yeah.
in the first Transformers were other toys from other shows like Robotech repackaged
Yeah,
in a Transformers box. And
yeah,
so it's not like Transformers had some kind of an initial integrity. It was
yeah,
always designed as a commercial enterprise
yeah,
that they made however, that said,
yeah.
that once the Transformers were happening, they created a continuity, they
Yep.
created characters, and like when you finally get to the Transformers theatrical feature, I mean Orson Welles and Leonard Nimoy are doing voices.
Yeah,
So
yeah. There you go.
so what I found interesting about like look, if you look at the Transformers movies, I will cop to the fact that I liked Transformers 1 and I love Transformers Dark of the Moon.
Yeah,
They're not great movies, but I
yeah,
love them the way that I love a lot of Japanese
yeah,
kaiju films and stuff like that. I get it. But
yeah.
but the thing is, Michael Bay is such because to me the greatest Transformers movie is Bumblebee,
It is.
because
Yeah.
Bumblebee captured the heart and soul of what
Yep.
it was to be a kid, and Haley Steinfeld was so great in that role, and Bumblebee the character, and going back to opening on Cybertron,
That was an
and
awesome opening.
it was fucking awesome. And but that movie was it was made by, like, I interviewed Travis Knight, who is the founder of Nike. That's his son. And Travis Knight, the director of Bumblebee, made like Kubo and the Two Strings. He started
Yeah.
Leica Studios in Portland, and he's the real deal. And he understands the meaning of all of it. And so he gave us, I mean, the movie might not have made $1 billion, but it's a genuine, it's a
Mhm.
really great fantasy film.
Yeah. And
And
it had the Smiths on the soundtrack, which
Yeah,
that
yes,
was
There you
it did.
go.
That was
Yes.
awesome.
I mean, by the way, the Cure played tonight, and they're going to play tomorrow night here in LA.
Well, you guys haven't made over. You had the Crew World Festival. You had Susie a day after. You
And
had
by the way,
Cure.
did you hear the Sisters of Mercy played last night?
Yep.
And
I
the
had
lead
friends that were there.
singer of Berlin was singing Ofra Haza's part on Temple of
Wow.
Love.
Oh my God!
Come on, dude. I mean, I
Terry-
wish I didn't live an hour away. I'd be going to shows. I mean, it's
I
crazy.
interviewed Terry Nunn. Like
Terry Nunn was singing
Oh
the Temple of
wow!
Love, and our favorite, the lead singer of Sisters of Mercy,
Andrew Eldritch. Yeah.
Andrew Eldridge, told her to make it your own. Don't do Ofra Haza. Do it yourself. I mean, I hope somebody fucking tape that shit, because I would love to see it.
Yeah. I was talking
What
to her.
what was the name of their drum machine? Was called Dr.
Apocalypse.
Was it Dr. Apocalypse?
I think it was Dr. Apocalypse. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Terry Nunn. I talked to her in 2007. I was interviewing her. We were talking about "Take My Breath Away," right? And I was like, I said, I love the emotion you put in that song, right? Dude, she fucking sings it to me a cappella.
Dr. Avalanche.
Avalanche, that's it.
Dr. Avalanche.
Yeah.
I had to, because I was like,
But-
I knew. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. Yeah, so she sang me "Take My Breath Away" a cappella over the phone.
Come
I,
on, man.
I literally melted. I couldn't believe it. Like, oh
That's
my
so
god, she's
awesome.
singing it. She's singing it.
I mean, I had a Berlin. So they used to make 8-inch laser discs of
Yeah,
music videos in the mid 80s.
yeah.
And I had a Berlin 8-inch laser disc that had like the Metro. I
Ah,
emerged in London rain and you were waiting there, swimming through apologies. Sorry. Come on.
oh wow,
Fucking
wow.
great.
She is amazing. She's super, super nice. We actually had the same tax person too. It was weird. A whole small world.
I'm telling you, man. Zod, these party nights with Mikey, who knows where they're gonna go.
You just
Well,
never know.
that's what I said. And so when Mikey was like, "Well, tonight we'll talk a lot about Philippine entertainment and stuff," I'm like, "Well, yeah, that sounds great. That's a direction
Mikey,
we can go in."
like I gotta come party with you guys. Come on. I mean, we gotta like go to a show together. Or
We
something.
got
Yeah,
it.
that
We
would be
got it.
awesome. That's what we got to do.
Hey, but you know what? Berlin was huge. The Metro was one of the biggest songs of the '80s over there. So hey, Philippines, It's,
Well, so is sex.
well, yeah.
I'm
Oh god, yeah.
it's so weird to me. Like now we're in the grips of all this. Even like I think like Berlin talk
Yeah.
about transgender and dealing with gender bending. I mean, they were
Eh,
doing that in the mid 80s,
Oh
man, in
yeah,
their videos. And like now it's all infantile. It's like,
yeah.
if you're not in my tribe, I'm like, in the 80s, no one gave a fuck. It's like, hey, you want to be trans? You want to be non-binary? You can do whatever you want. Let's listen to some Berlin. Let's take some MDMA and dance.
Right,
Androgyny,
live and let live. Do
You
what
know-
you want to do. That's
you know-
what
Dude, and
that's
that
what
was-
the attitude was.
Yeah, that was 40 fucking years ago. Now everyone's like, yeah, I'm looking. Here's the thing that I don't get. Here's what I don't get. All of these like activists, I'm like, are you guys getting laid? I mean, I don't care whether you're straight, gay, trans, bi, non-binary. I don't care what you are. If you're all getting laid, you wouldn't be so angry. You're spending too much time on your activism and not enough time taking your underwear off with other people and going to town. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, in the 80s, my cheeks were glistening like I'd eaten glazed donuts half my time. I'd walk into school, be like, hey, what's up? I mean, nowadays, I don't think people are having fun anymore. They're
No,
all
they're not.
angry and mad. I'm like, why are you telling me about I was dead named or misgendered? I'm like, okay, I understand that might be offensive, but you know what? If you got laid this morning, no one would give a fuck. I mean, let's bend your gender. Do what you want. Why is no one fucking? No one's fucking. They're just angry about their sexuality. I'm like, when I in the 80s, everyone was fucking.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
why are we not doing this anymore? I mean,
It's no longer fashionable.
Well, I guess it's patriarchal. Now I'm like, Jesus Christ, for all the talk we get about gender and I'm like, okay, that's all great, but who's fucking? Let's get laid, people. I mean, it's like movies and music and all of this is about a zest for life.
Yeah.
And let's all be, the world is a much better place if we're all getting laid the way we want to get laid. And I don't care who you want to sleep with. I do not care as long as you're sleeping with somebody. Because if you are, you're having fun.
And you'll be a lot happier in your life.
Oh my God. And I look at all these people on TikTok and they're all talking about like, okay, I get it. If you're misgendered, you go to the grocery store and someone misgenders you. I'm like, go home to your partner and make them, be a cunning linguist or whatever. I mean, do some work. Why are you angry about this? How can you expect people in the world to understand who you and what you are? You've never met them before. They don't know you. Even I, as an old, middle-aged, white cis male, I can't even believe I'm saying cis. When I meet people, sometimes I wonder, how am I going to say even hello? And I worry, I'm like, am I going to offend this person? I have to figure out some cool way to do it. I'm like, yo, hey, how's it going? Even in tonight, I was in the grocery store. A person of ambiguous, didn't know, I didn't, and they actually came up and asked me if I needed some help. I needed to get garlic and chili powder, 2 separate. Didn't know where in the grocery store it was. And this person, I was like, asked me if I need help. And I said, yes. And I didn't know what to say after that. I didn't know how to address them properly without making them angry, or I just said, listen, I very much appreciate you helping me out here, because I made myself look like an idiot. And I'm like, I don't know where chili powder or onion powder is. Is it in the condiments aisle? Is it in the spices aisle? And this person was very gracious and helped me find where I needed to go. But at the time, I was really upset or worried. Like, I hope I don't say something wrong.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know where chili powder and onion powder was. I just didn't know where it was. This person, not exactly presenting as one gender or another, and I'm a progressive dude, want to be respectful.
Yeah.
I don't know. So if I'd said the wrong thing, I would have been fucked. They would have been making TikTok videos. This bearded white Santa Claus motherfucker that misgendered me at work. And I'm like, I'm like, and I'm the most respectful person in the world.
That onion chili powder will make you do crazy things, Rob. Oh, we lost Rob for a second. I'm sure he'll be right back. So that's why they have such anger and rage, too much time on Twitter and no sex. Yeah. Well, that makes sense. This show was not made for the safe space people.
You're on Twitter 24/7, man. Like, do you have time for anything else?
Rage is a commodity these days, Mikey.
Rage bait.
It festers and everything. I think Rob might have hit the wrong button. I hope he makes it back. You know, it's so funny though.
He was on a roll, man. He was
He's
on a roll,
like, and here he is. He's back.
I feel like when I'm saying these things, like some ghost in the machine's like, demonetized, you're canceled.
Well, you know, AI is basically making a judgment on what you're saying and doesn't agree with you, Rob. So you're.
I mean, the funny thing is, if people knew all my friends who I grew up with, I ran with a very eclectic group of people.
Yeah.
I mean, very eclectic, and it's so weird that we now live in a world where I feel like everyone is so immature.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, gosh, when did everybody become such an infant about who and what they are?
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up in a place where everybody was just unapologetically who they were. Nowadays, everyone's like, I'm this person and you're blah, blah. I'm like, what are you, 12? like be who you are. Like, be who you are. Unapologetically. I don't give a fuck. Be who you are. Tell me who you want to be. Be who you are. Stand up tall. I will support you. But everyone seems like such a look. I'm like, are we gonna go out and party and have a lost weekend where no one knows what the fuck happened? And if everyone's like, oh, we're not gonna talk about this, are we? No, we won't. That's the way it used to be. Nobody cared. We had all kinds of crazy experiences. Nowadays, no one is having fun.
Yeah.
It used to be like, oh, you're this way? Awesome. Let's go party. Nowadays, everyone's like, no one's happy. No one's having a good time. I identify as this. I'm like, okay, but why are you angry? If you identify as this, let's go party.
I think Neo Sevens points it out very, very clearly here. It's basically turning into a demolition man society.
Does everyone want 3 seashells? I don't. Look, man, here's the thing. Humanity, in all of our craziness, every single one of us. You go to the Dr. Manhattan philosophy, the Watchmen philosophy. Why does Dr. Manhattan come back to Earth in the Watchmen comic book? Because he realizes he can see the universe down to its microbes. He realizes that every single human being is amazing.
Yeah.
In the thermodynamic miracle of life, there's only one of each of us, even with twins. There's only one of each of us in the entire cosmic infinitude of the universe. which means that each one of us is the single most valuable element in the universe. Everything else, carbon, nitrogen, whatever, as Carl Sagan said, we are all star stuff. But human beings are unique in the cosmos. Every single one of us, even though there's 8 billion of us on this planet, every one of us is different. Every one of us has, our value is limitless.
And
we are the most, and people walk around. I mean, we live in a world where we are unique in the infinitude of the universe, and everyone's depressed and everyone is looking for a way to validate their existence. And we need to figure out a way. You know what? If we all watched Voltus 5 and realized how did the Filipinos make this and show it 5 days a week? And if we tied that into our own self-worth, we might have something.
There you go. Way to tie it. Before I forget, thinking of sex, I found out who that song is about. That song.
You mean Sex, the Berlin song?
Yeah, it's about Richard Blade, the K-Rock DJ, karaoke DJ Richard Blade. That was about him. He went out with Terry Nunn for a while, and apparently his sex was very boring, and she wanted to get all colorful and everything. And he was very vanilla, and so that song was written about him.
And of course, Richard Blade. We interviewed him for our Valley Girl. I did the special features for Valley Girl.
Yeah. Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it was interesting back in 2003. When I had done Usual Suspects, they asked me what I wanted to do, and I said I wanted to do To Live and Die in LA and Valley Girl, and they laughed at me. They're like, well, To Live and Die in LA is being done by Bud Smith, the editor of the movie, and I'm like, okay. And they're like, well, you can have Valley Girl. So Dave Parker and Greg Carson from MGM and I teamed up, and we made all the special features for Valley Girl. And what's really cool is that Scream Factory, Shout Factory released Valley Girl on Blu-ray and resurrected all of our special features. And we interviewed like Robbie Gray from Modern English. We interviewed Josie Cotton, who sang "Johnny, Are You Queer Boy?"
Yeah, great.
And and we interviewed Richard Blade, and those special features that were gone for 20 years were resurrected by Shout Factory, and they're on the 40th anniversary. Actually, it'd be the 40th anniversary this year of Valley Girl, but they put it out like 3 or 4 years ago. And
I gotta see that.
You'll love that, because the music and Richard Blade and all that, but he was a Brit. You can't British dudes, I can understand they're a little boring, but Richard Blade living in LA, I love Richard Blade.
Yeah,
I mean, and I loved K-Rock and that music and all that. It's so funny because, with the Cruel World Festival, seeing Gary Newman with his kids and other people watching. I mean, I wish I'd gone. I just couldn't afford to go. I wanted to go so bad, and my friend Clark went, and it's amazing to see all this stuff. But that music, we talk about it, how it was so intertwined to movies, and it was all together. Like the 80s pop culture was all part of the same continuum. And if you were a fan of movies, you were a fan of music, you were a fan of fashion, and nowadays not so much.
Yeah, I don't see that kind of crossing over these days as they were in our generation during our time. I was into new wave music, I was into movies and horror films. They all seem to belong to one single world to me. Like they're all kind of connected somehow.
It was, but I mean, you looked at things like, well, Valley Girl had a great soundtrack. I mean, I remember seeing, like, if you go back and you look at, by the way, April was the 40th anniversary of Flashdance.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Who put that out? Who put that out, Rob? There was a recent Blu-ray release for that, wasn't there?
Of course he has.
Of course he has it. That's what I figured.
That's beautiful.
Flashdance. By the way, this is not the Steelbook, which I also have.
I just didn't know who. I just forgot who put it out.
Was Paramount. It was Paramount.
Okay,
And
yeah.
and this was one of the first films that Jerry Bruckheimer and Don Simpson put out together. And Adrian Lyne, who directed this, went on to direct Jacob's Ladder, which, by the way, if I can give a shameless plug, if you haven't watched Lana Ewan's reviews on my channel, my new discovery, her next review that's dropping this week is Jacob's Ladder.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So so Adrian Lyne, who had made, there's a really great, I want to say it's 1980. Now we have The Idol coming out with The Weeknd and Lily Rose Depp coming out.
Yeah.
Where it's all like scandalous because she like masturbates with an ice cube or some
Oh my
shit like
God.
that, whatever Can said. But I'd much rather go back to 1980, 43 years ago, and watch Adrian Lyne's Foxes with Jodie Foster. Teenage girls in the valley in trouble, beautifully shot. But now we have because when you have 18-year-old girls having their own OnlyFans, I mean, what's scandalous anymore?
Yeah. Well, other day I was just thinking of a Pretty Baby and how that would never get made today.
Oh my God.
Never. Not
Oh
in a
wow.
million years.
Yeah. Not in it. Not. No way.
Well, no, it's a weird,
I don't think Valley Girl could get made today either. To be honest with you.
Well, but the thing about here's the thing about they did remake it.
They did with
I didn't even know they remade it.
There was a remake of it came out 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was Clay Bennett too. Yeah,
it was not good.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, and then it's Clay Bennett, but no, it looks bad.
Yeah, and it was. Here's the thing about Valley Girls. You had Martha Coolidge, directing it. You had Sox Bullet says Foxes is a great film. Foxes, you know what? Foxes is a very mature film too. You watch it now and you're thinking, I mean, nowadays, you watch something like Euphoria. Well, I can't watch it. I feel embarrassed if I watch it. Like, oh, these chicks are hot, and I'm like, they're fucking 18, and I'm like getting hard, and I'm like, I can't watch this anymore. I feel terrible. And on one hand, I'm like, wow, I'm this old and still getting hard watching a TV show. That's good. So that's, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm a pedophile now, and I'm not. I mean, that's, these girls are of age. They're 18.
Yeah.
But no, it's all, so it's so weird because watching Foxes, it was a coming of age story that had mature themes.
Yeah.
Now I feel that the mature themes are completely exploitive. They're not being used. It's all titillation. And our entire civilization has become that way. Like I feel like everyone is commodified, sex, OnlyFans, whatever, and people are defending it. Mm-hmm. And you watch podcasts like Whatever or Freshly Fit or what, and it's so depressing to watch all these things where if you watch a movie like Foxes, which dealt with moral degradation, there still was a morality at its heart. And when you watch these films, I mean, Flashdance is about an 18-year-old girl who falls in love with her boss who's fucking 40. And yet he, while they fall in love with each other, he's sponsoring her artistic ambitions to go to dance school and uses his credibility to get her an audition. And he believes in her. And nowadays people will be like, this movie should be canceled because it's about a 40-year-old preying on an 18-year-old girl. And really, it's actually about one person respecting another person's desires and uses their leverage to help that person achieve their goals.
Yeah.
And it's because nowadays I feel everyone's taking their leave of senses. Like human nature is human nature.
Yeah.
We're animals. We have desires. Yeah. We're animals. And if you don't, we want to pretend like none of our desires exist anymore. Women can commodify male desire. That's okay. They're liberated. But now we're like sitting around going, everyone hates us. We're terrible people. I'm like, yeah, well, we are the ones that brought everyone up from the muck, and we have now civilization. It's just we live in a weird time, man.
Yeah, your conversation reminded me of a film that nobody remembers anymore. I'm sure you remember this film. It was called Smooth Talk with Laura Dern.
So good.
Yes.
Smooth
Yes.
Talk
That
is
is such a
so good.
great film, right? And it's so subtle, but it really has that that kind of topic in there. That again, will this film get made now? Because
No.
no way. That had a female director. Didn't it have a female director on Smooth Talk?
Well,
think it was-
and that was a female, a woman. I don't remember her name, but hang on, let me use the newfangled
That
thing.
was such a great film, but I was thinking, man, this is like politically correct now. It would never get made now.
No, because nowadays people want to deny human nature.
Yeah.
It's so weird. We want to all pretend like we live in a world where we control everything, and
Mhm.
yet no one is having fun anymore.
Yeah.
Everyone is a screaming activist. I'm like, I don't look. Activism is great, but let's get back to the fucking. Like, seriously, don't turn it into something political. We're animals, and when you can connect with somebody, you can pleasure each other's physicality. That's a great thing. And nowadays, people are like, are any young people getting laid in a normal fashion? Like, you just kind of make out and you spend 3 hours trying to touch a girl's boob. Does that happen anymore? Like, oh my God, I touched her nipple, and then her parents come home after 3 hours. It took me 3 hours.
Social media has destroyed the sex lives of society, essentially. I feel
It
like
used to be all
there's
exploratory
too much
and discovery.
Yeah, now it's too much. It's all just social media, and like you said, you use OnlyFans, which is a good example. Like you're not by monetizing sexuality. There is no. Yeah, there is none.
Well,
of that.
it also makes it all transactional.
Yeah.
And that's such a terrible thing, because we men have now we're the customers. Our entire civilization has made, first of all, it's made male desire terrible. We're awful patriarchal
We should feel guilty.
oppressors.
Should feel guilty about it and everything, right?
Yeah.
should
And
feel
then
horrible.
the girls are like, and we're going to be sexually liberated by masturbating on camera for you, and you're going to pay us money.
Yeah.
I mean, like, at the end of the day, I'm like, I'd rather watch Voltus 5 from the Philippines.
Rob,
That's
there's a
right.
movie.
That's right.
There's
Faithful.
a film I want to recommend to you. I think it's on Blu-ray. It was remastered. I had the remastered DVD. It's from the Philippines from '85. It's called Silip. That's SILIP, which means peak. It's about religious oppression of sexuality of women back in the Philippines. It's
Oh, it's
basically
called Peak.
yeah,
Peak.
SILIP. Yeah,
Oh, I got it. I'm looking at
found
this.
it,
Is it
yeah.
on? Yeah.
It's just a very weird. It's God, who is that filmmaker? Damn, I'm forgetting his name. There's a filmmaker in Latin America that's he was-
Elwood Perez directed it.
yeah,
Ricardo Lee wrote it. Produced by Wilson Tang.
yeah.
And it stars Ma Isabel Lopez and
Maria Isabel.
Sarai Emanuel.
Oh yeah, they're yeah. Anyway, they're
I love this. Maria Jennifer Obregon Mitchell, also known by her screen name as Sarcy Emanuel, is a former dancer and actress in the Philippines.
yeah. Sarcy was in the film.
I'll
Yeah.
bet she was.
So,
Actually, it was released on DVD by Mondo Macabro in 2007.
go see it. Trust me, go see it. It's a combination of sex and who is that
Dude,
guy?
it came out on Blu-ray
There you
in
go.
2021.
You gotta
Okay,
go see it.
since you are mentioning this right now, this is my favorite thing. This is what the best thing about the internet is. So Mikey tells me about this, right? I go to Amazon and I just punch it in. There it is. Then I go Blu-ray. There it is. Blu-ray. Slip Blu-ray.
Yeah, we got to see
Results.
Rob's review of this on the show, bro.
Oh man,
Absolutely.
and it's like, dude, it's not anywhere to be found on Amazon, which means it's a Mondo Macabro disc. And wait, hang on, what? This is very depressing. Hang on, wait, God damn it. Well, I'm gonna find it. Now it's my mission. Oh, hang on. No, it's SILIP.
Yep, that's
My
it.
problem. SI.
I'm thinking of the filmmaker that. Oh shit, what's his name? There's this Latin America filmmaker that was very bizarre, not a surrealism in a.
Well, I mean, wow, this is a Mondo Macambro disc. It's certainly not here. You know what? I'm going to have to go to Google. I'm just going to have to go to SILIP.
Who was the director that was going to do Dune, but it never got made?
Alejandro Jodorowsky.
That's the one. It has elements of his style in this film, but it's really softcore porn.
The movie that Mikey's talking about, it's on Blu-ray. They got it on eBay.
Dude, I found it. Mondo Macabro. Philip, I've seen this. An explosive journey into the realm of the senses. I'm ordering this shit right now from Grindhouse Video. Oh yeah.
There you go. There you go.
There you go. This is what happens on the Wednesday weekly late night party.
Dude. Come on. That's what I'm
Come
saying.
on.
View cart, check out. I mean, I'm checking it out right now.
Everybody's gonna start already seeing them.
Better be good. That's all I can say.
It's good.
I'm doing PayPal. Hopefully my PayPal.
You'll enjoy it.
I'm sure I will. I mean, I look at the cover. I'm like, bow, chicka, bow, wow, wow, wow.
I want to see Rob review it. I mean, I want to see Zod review it too.
Well, just so you know, Mikey Sutton, when I do my let's get physical media, I'm going to give you full credit that I bought.
Oh my God, that's right. It's like you do this Let's Get Physical Media show so you can review
Dude,
review these things.
Because I want this for my Sunday show, I'm paying $10 for shipping.
Watch Rob's gonna get 30,000 views for this review alone. Just
come on, man.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Robert. It's coming from Grindhouse Video.
It's coming, all right.
Philip, Daughters of Eve, Blu-ray. I'm gonna make a whole big thing. This is why I love this show. You never know. You know what? This is, like I said before, it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
And if this were the Mickey Mouse Club, it would be Surprise Day. Surprise Day, Surprise Day. Anything can happen. And it's like, woo, woo, woo. And it usually does. Now I have a crazy Filipino sex film from 1985.
It is crazy. It is
Philip, Daughters of Eve. By the way, I'm gonna totally talk about Mikey Sutton, the executive producer. I'm gonna make sure that everyone knows that the reason I have, well, imagine this is Philip. The reason I have this is because of Mikey Sutton and Zod Ryder.
So, Sarcy Emanuel was part of this. They call it the soda pop stars. They were the softcore porn stars that were named after soda pop. They had Coco Nicholas with Coke obviously. Sarcy was a root beer over there.
We're so getting canceled. I'm so done. By the way, Efren Guzman says, okay, look at this. Do you want to see something crazy in terms of porn videos? Like, okay, here's a box set of the Taboo series, the incest series from the early 80s. Now, this is from Vinegar Syndrome. I mean, I have this.
Vinegar Syndrome is awesome.
It's awesome. And check this out. I mean, what is it? If you look, the ultimate sin. And you've got, like, look at this. We'll get demonetized. Taboo.
Wow.
Right? And then we've got Taboo 2 and Taboo 3. And also Taboo 4. So there you go. I mean, if you go to like YouPorn or RedTube, I mean, now incest porn's a big thing, but back in the early 80s, it was new. And here is a beautiful physical media set.
Physical media account. You can watch it no matter what. You need no internet.
And why was it in my hands? I just want to say I do not have a DVD or Blu-ray player within it's in the next house. So it's not like I'm watching this stuff to, you know what I mean? I'm not.
Yeah.
There's no Kleenex around here. I'm just saying. I mean, well, I do have flash dance. So who knows? Who knows what that means? But you know what else I have? I've also got Gallipoli, which doesn't end well. I'm just saying.
Oh, I love Gallipoli. I love
It's
that
great.
film.
Great. Peter Weir, great. It's great. You know what else I have? You want to see something else that's pretty cool? Look, I have a third-party Sabretooth figure. I mean, you know, it's just here. It's
right next to your Taboo box set.
I know. I mean, look at this. You just never know what's here in the Rob Observatory. There's so much cool stuff. I mean, look, die cast claws. It's amazing.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I just remembered the name of the most famous, I guess, of the Philippine of soft drink was Pepsi Paloma. She actually hung herself.
Oh wait, I'm not going to show Aquaman if she hung herself.
Yeah, that is
Shit,
sad.
man.
Yeah, Pepsi Paloma. Yeah, she actually hanged herself.
And you used hanged correctly. It's not hung. She hanged herself. It's not hung herself.
Yeah,
Well done. That's why you're a great writer.
and thank you so much. I think I probably memorized that from writing about Ian Curtis so much.
Dude, you brought up a little Joy Division tonight.
You
Oh my God.
I had to, you know.
This is
By the way, Rob,
this
you
show
and-
has become one of my favorite. This is my favorite YouTube show of the week. Somebody say.
I love it, man. And by the way, you and I are both born in May as well. By the way, that how cool is that?
Yeah, you both had birthdays. You know, Mikey had his birthday bash live
Yeah,
stream
yeah.
last night.
Oh, I didn't. You know, happy birthday! I didn't do anything. I didn't even get a present for my birthday. My mom tells me I sent you a card. I'm like, I said to her, my mom's like, she doesn't remember what she's done. I'm like, you didn't send me a card. My mom's like, did you get my card? I'm like, yes, I did, Mom. She's, you know, God bless my mother. She's 84, but it's all good.
How did we go from Volta's 5 Legacy to Pepsi Paloma?
Or to your birthday.
My birthday.
Because that's what this show, the Zod Rider, provides it's an environment. Look, what is the show called? Zod. What is the show called?
The Wednesday weekly late night party. Hey, listen, a lot of people may not know this, but I used to do a show, a podcast several years back about sex and relationships called Cyber Love Talk with 4 female co-hosts, and it was an incredible show. We used to talk about all kinds of crazy stuff, and it was one of those things where
demonetized,
like you said, it would be if I were to bring that show back today, it would be impossible to
but isn't
to
that
promote
weird
it through YouTube?
Like, especially YouTube, like the way they canceled creators and canceled people, it's such a bizarre.
Yeah.
Like, we are who we are. We're human beings. Like,
yeah,
it's like, I don't understand. Like, you can't swear within the first 30 seconds of your videos now.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. Wow.
So you can't open up talking about
fucking.
Yeah, you can't open up your stream. That's
yeah.
I came for Voltus 5, but I'm hearing porn now.
Yeah, it's like,
well, AJ, here's the thing. You know, Voltus 5 is on a whole nother level. So we should just
but here's the weird part, Rob. Sealip was released by a major studio over there. It wasn't kind of indie company. It was released by one of the big studios over there, and it was mainstream. And if you see the film, you're like, "What the fuck?"
Well, but here's the thing, because it didn't, like, sexuality, especially, like, it's really interesting when you watch film. Like, okay, let me just. Oh, where did it go? Hang on.
I got you've got the Emmanuel box set.
So this is a German 4K box set for Emmanuel. Now, for those
4K.
of you, dude, 4K, bro, 4K, and this box set is insane. The stuff that's in this box set. So you've got the original. Most people are like, what is Emmanuel? So in the 70s, you had like hardcore pornography, like Deep Throat came out, and couples were going to see hardcore porn in theaters. Well, what Emmanuel was, my favorite thing, I call it 70s bush porn, because no one was shaving everything, and you still had women with beautiful, you know, pubic regions. But Emmanuel was shot by Just Jochen, who was a French director. And it was this incredible story of a woman's sexual awakening, but shot beautifully. It was like a fashion video.
Yeah.
And by the way, after Sylvia Crystal gave up being Emmanuel, and it's funny, you watch these 3 movies, it's like Star Wars, Empire, and Return of the Jedi. And the third Emmanuel film is incredibly disappointing, like Return of the Jedi is. Oh, wait, what? Sorry.
Is that the one where, is that the one where she's with the cannibals?
No.
I'm confusing Black Emmanuel.
Yes, and now here's the cool thing. Severin is releasing a Black Emmanuel box set. And by the way, here's the funny thing. So Laura Gemscher, who is Black Emmanuel, is not really black. She's from Indonesia.
Right.
She's from Indonesia. Hot as fuck. They're releasing like a 18 disc box set. And let me tell you, I'm going to buy it and I'm going to have it on my shelf right next to this. So I'm going to have the entire, like, people are going to, what's so great? Nobody even knows what this is anymore. People are like, what is this? And I'm like, this is me telling you I'm a dirty old man. Just saying.
I love the fact that Rob has easy access to all this right now. You're like, oh, here it is. It's like he's got like the stuff in a different universe that he's holding on a storage locker or something.
Well, no. I've been moving stuff around. So like, if you looked around, there's all this stuff. Like, that's why I have, like, you know, the Supergirl Barbie from The Flash.
I gotta give Integrity 101 credit for his comment here. He says, "Be sure to tune in next week for the Deep Throat watch party." I mean, it's possible.
But the thing is, it'll be the Deep Throat that gave up the information about the Watergate break-in, and then people are going to be very confused. What Deep Throat is that? Not the one you thought it was.
Okay, is your Emmanuel box set region locked?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Because yours is a German. I have a multi-region player too, but I was just curious about it because I wanted to get this Berserk Steelbook box set that they put out, and in order to get that, I had to have a region-free Blu-ray player. So.
No, okay, this is interesting. So only the first Emmanuel's 4K, and it is region B, so it's region locked, but not, obviously 4K is usually not region locked. So this is, but I don't care because I have multi-region players, so it doesn't matter.
Right. As long as it doesn't matter. As long as you have, see, honestly, if you're into physical media, and I tell people this all the time, get a region-free player. Make sure that it's region-free because there's always going to be something that you're going to want that is you're not going to be able to get in your region. I mean, there's a Knight Rider box set that came out that I think it was like a German exclusive.
Oh yeah,
and it is insane.
The Germans and all the work they do is incredible. It's incredible. Like I've had multi-region players for since the dawn of the DVD era, and for what 24 years or something. And I mean, I have so many different, basically 2 different regions. I mean, for DVD there was more regions, but for Blu-ray there's only 3. There's regions A, B, and C.
A, B, and C. Yeah.
And all the regions I don't have any region C discs. I only have.
Okay, Sox Bulletins wants to know if you've got a Caligula 4K.
Rob, I just remembered something.
I have Caligula on Blu-ray, but here's the thing. No. Do you guys know what happened at Cannes this year? In terms of Caligula?
No, what happened?
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, there's a movie called Caligula that stars Malcolm McDowell and Helen Mirren. And when it was made, it was written by Gore Vidal, and it was supposed to be initially a very provocative. Tinto Brass directed it. Look at the Roman Emperor Caligula. Well, Bob Guccione, the impresario who gave us Penthouse magazine, which put the pink in porn pictures. I mean, Playboy, you didn't get the pink, Penthouse made sure you got the pink. That's how Bob Guccione got rich. So he turned the actors like Helen Mirren, thought they were in this big highfalutin movie, and it turns out that Bob Guccione came in and shot a bunch of hardcore porn and put it in there. So Caligula's become notorious. This year at Cannes, a gentleman, I forget his name, has spent years going back into all the negative and recutting Caligula and turning it into the movie it was supposed to be.
Wow.
Yeah, the actual highfalutin movie that's about the Roman emperor, and has spent years doing it. It debuted at the Cannes Film Festival this year, just a couple of days ago. So people laugh about Caligula. 40 years ago, it was notorious. And it had, I mean, the production design was crazy. It had a machine that cut off people's heads, and there was incredible amounts of sex in it. Yet all these actors were in it, but it's finally 43 years later has been restored to an actual, real motion picture, where the person, I forget his name, went in and the original intent of the movie was restored. Now, here's what's interesting. So Tinto Brass, who made lots of erotic films in the 60s and 70s. So Tinto Brass, who directed Caligula, he was taken off of it. He's pissed because he was not consulted with the resurrection of the film. He wasn't involved in the edit. And now that it played at Cannes, he's like, look, I directed this movie. I was not consulted. He is contemplating legal action about this new version of Caligula. By the way, this has just happened the last couple of days. So,
wow. You didn't even hear about this. I mean, this is bigger news than Indiana Jones 5.
I mean, I'm telling you, I'm thinking about Quantum Mania on 4K. Really, Caligula.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. Nobody even knows what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like when I was growing up, Caligula was a big deal. I have Caligula on Blu-ray, and it was a big thing. Nobody knows. And this is I mean, it's not a criticism or an indictment. But when I was growing up as a whippersnapper in the dawn of the home video age, all of this was important. Like I needed to know everything there was to know about cinema. And I like my horror film knowledge went all the way back to the teens and the 20s.
Yeah.
And you needed to know everything. And my friends and I were like, okay, if there's a screening of like Dead of Night from the 40s, we have to go. You know, we would and now nowadays film fans, genre film fans, their knowledge is limited.
Yeah.
And I find that like if someone said to me, well, who's the first Superman on screen? If you were to say, who's the first person who ever played Superman on screen? I would say Kirk Allen.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Kirk Allen, you know, how many people know that? And people are like, who? You know, like, or I mean, they don't know. And I grew up with George Reeves. George Reeves playing Superman, not Christopher Reeve, but George Reeves was my Superman as a kid because I hadn't seen Kirk Allen yet because I was 40s. But like, I loved his portrayal. Like, he was a fucking badass. George Reeves playing in The Adventures of Superman. Like when he would fly and he would jump out the window, you know, and fly. That was my Superman when I was a kid. That was the first thing I ever, and he was a badass. Like no one ever got one by him. And he was like his Clark Kent was like, yeah, I already wrote that story. Clark, how'd you write that story? You know, I just wrote it. And he was like the dude. He was like Superman as Clark Kent was the coolest dude in the world.
Yeah.
He would smoke everyone. And I love that. And then of course in 78 I was 11 when I saw Superman the movie. And even though Clark was different than George Reeves, and it was weird
Mhm.
because you had to learn. I'm like, Mom, it's Christopher Reeve, but it was George Reeves. Are they related? My mom's like, no, there's just an S in their names. That's all it was. And I'm like, okay. But I mean, when I saw Superman the movie, it's hard. It's hard to explain. No one had ever seen anything like that before, like Star Wars.
Star Wars was life changing for me. Before I forget, Rob, I'm not trying to get you to spend more money, but there's another erotic film from the Philippines in the 80s. I recommend for you. I'm not sure it's on DVD though. Make sure you get the original 1985 version if you do. It's called Scorpio Nights. Uh,
Listen to you with the Filipino porn. Hang on. Come on, dude. I mean, I love this. Let's see.
It has
Scorpio.
no spoilers. It has one of the most shockingly disturbing endings of any movie. I can't believe it ever
Right.
got made.
Blu-ray. Let's see.
Sure, it's original 80. I'm not sure what the remake of. The original has to be
Wow,
the
the first thing that came up was okay, let me just tell you. The first thing that popped up on my Google search was safe search is off. You might see nudity, sexual content, or other explicit results. I have never seen this ever on my search bar. Thank you. Wow, Mikey Sutton. Happy birthday to me and happy birthday to you.
Yeah,
Scorpio Night.
Yeah.
Now now here's what's come up. Scorpio Films, the Dutch Sex Wave Collection Blu-ray. I mean, I didn't get to the Philippines, but
Yeah.
oh my God, I did get to the Dutch Sex Wave Collection. Well, since you brought me here, let's see where it takes me to Amazon. And oh wait, it's not what you said, but I didn't even know the Dutch Sex Wave Collection existed. You know what's great about the modern age? Here's what's great this is the best part. Click. And I am going to own the Dutch Sex Wave Collection. All because you sent me here looking for Filipino girls, but I found Dutch girls instead. Wow. Okay, I'm going to use this address, and I'm going to use my Visa card to check it out. Now, let me just say, look, Mikey, it's coming. And I don't mean that as a euphemism. I'm saying it's coming, like literally coming. Let me just tell you. So, Scorpio Films, I wish I could send you. Hang on. If you can see, this is hilarious. So, what you just made me buy that I'm going to have to explain to my girlfriend. Why do you have the Dutch Sex Wave or whatever it is? I mean, okay. So I put it in the live chat.
You're
Here
adding
it is.
spice to your relationship.
Scorpio Films, the Dutch Sex Wave Collection, a 4-disc set.
Oh my God! Look at that cover. How can you resist this? Look at that cover.
Come on. Well, I couldn't,
Dude.
because you sent me here and I bought it. It's got 4 discs. Wait, let's read
Wow.
this.
4 discs.
The product description is the Dutch Sex Wave, aka the golden age of Dutch cinema, combined with artistic freedom, sexual liberation, and exploitation with commercial success. Cult Epics presents 4 of frontrunner Scorpio Films' most successful Dutch sex wave films, previously unreleased in the U.S. My Nights with Susan, Sandra, Olga, and Julie, the erotic foreplay. Blue, there's only 3 of them though, but Blue Movie, the most sensational taboo film of all time, and Frank and Eva, living apart together, and Obsessions, Hitchcock, Scorsese, and sex. So there you go. By the way, it says, if you're a fan of vintage Hitchcock new wave hits like Blow Up, early Dario Argento, and again, early De Palma, Obsessions is an essential discovery. Frank and Eva is an entertaining piece of early 70s European sexploitation that offers a nice mix of drama to accompany its more risque elements. And Blue Movie, while sexually frank in both its depictions and its free love themes, is far from a mindless erotic free-for-all. So hey, thanks for that, Mikey Sutton.
So I looked up.
Tune in to Let's Get Physical Media.
I looked up Scorpion Nights on Amazon. It's unavailable, and according to here, they actually cut the version on DVD. You don't want that. You don't want the full version of Scorpion Nights because you don't want that ending to be censored.
No, I mean, apparently, you're telling me I like Filipino girls. What can I say? I don't want to see anything bad happen to them. Are you telling me bad things happen to them?
It's a very disturbing film. It's not really a porn film. It's weird. It's kind of experimental.
Well, let's go back to Voltus 5 and robot action because
yeah, we got here. You guys should look up
Zod's
the
like,
Philippine.
what the hell are you guys talking about?
You guys should look up the Philippine Batman movies. Now that's real lost media.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, it's Adolphe,
true,
I think, was the one that was in there. Are they gonna? Well, they probably are, right? That's the thing with the Philippines. They don't save their movies, dude. There's so many missing films over there.
Well, yeah, I mean, because the storage of negative and stuff in the
Yeah.
Philippines is a hot, damp, tropical environment, so it's hard
Yeah.
to say that stuff. I love that Sox Bulletin says, "You never know what will happen on late night parties." Laugh out loud. I feel like it's my fault. I've derailed the conversation, but
It was bound to happen. I knew we weren't going to stay on topic, so it's kind of one of the characteristics of our show.
well, I think that's part of the reason people even tune in. It's fun. It shows. I mean, the fact of the matter is, our civilization's getting a little too buttoned up.
That's true.
We need to bring back the exploitation. We need to bring back human nature. We need to bring back the fact that, I mean, I miss the days. I mean, now I'm old, but the first time you ever kissed a girl, it was so exciting. Now people are like, well, I'm confused.
Subscribe to her OnlyFans. You don't get to kiss her, but you can subscribe to her OnlyFans.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and it's also it's so depressing that it's become so transactional now.
Sox Bulletin says, I thought Bad Lieutenant from 1992 was extreme, but you have to watch the NC-17 version and not the rated R version.
Right over there, bro. I got it. I got the Blu-ray. Abel Ferrara.
Oh, did Miss 45, right?
I've got that uncut too.
Well,
yes, I do.
Didn't Abel? Who did Driller Killer? Is that
no? That was Abel. That was his first film.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yep. Mikey, you know your shit, dude.
Oh, dude, I was renting VHS tapes like shit back in the day, man.
You were renting Robert Meyer Burnett's bootleg VHS tapes.
I tell you, in the Philippines, you back in the 80s in the Philippines, you could rent a Betamax tape for like the equivalent of 25 cents in US dollars. So you rent like 20, 30 films a week. I mean, I saw everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's so weird to think about that because working in video stores when I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
wow.
My parents. I had at one point 4 VCRs, and they were daisy chained together. And my master VCR was all VHS, and I was always copying tapes, and I was a complete video pirate. There was a theater called the Factoria Cinemas, and I would pay the manager of that theater $75, and I would pay the projectionist $75, and I would go after hours, like on a Friday, a new movie. I had an RCA, a VHS player that actually the tape part slipped out, and I forget the actual number. It was like a silver. It was really cool, and I had a video camera, and I would go, and I had a stereo setup, and I would put it in the center of the main aisle of the theater, and I would film the screen. And I would sell, we're talking 80, it was 83 when I got my driver's license. So I was 16 years old, and I was selling bootleg videotapes for $150 a pop. And my mom found a wad of $10,000 in cash in my drawer. And she was like, "You're selling drugs? Are you a drug dealer? Where's all this money coming from?" And I'm like, "Mom, why do you think I have 4 VCRs that never stop running?" Like, I would sleep downstairs. I was copying movies. I was a complete bootlegger. I was selling, and one of my good friends' dad was an FBI agent. He's like, "I'm not going to say anything as long as you let me borrow your James Bond movies. It's all fine." Mike Mather's dad. It was the best, and I was making a shit ton of money, and most of it went to blank videotapes because blank videotapes back then were like $30 a pop, and to buy a box of them was very
So
expensive.
what was your most expensive movie during
There
that
were
time?
two. There were the two movies that were the most expensive were E.T. and Fantasia. Those are the two movies that, because E.T. didn't come out on video and neither had Fantasia. And those were the two. My Fantasia copy was terrible. But the new movies, like I was the first person to have, this is very weird, Maniac, the Bill Lustig movie. Maniac had only played on the West Coast or the East Coast. I had got it before, but I that was before I drove. That was before I was a kid. I was like, that was 81, I think. But the movies that I made the most money off of was E.T. and Fantasia. Those are the two things. And it's so weird to think like these tapes were terrible. By the way, both of those I didn't make. My tapes, the movies that I had filmed were the best I could make. And they were letterbox, but they were in stereo. I recorded the sound in stereo. And it was, you're filming the screen in the auditorium with microphones. I mean, it was so weird. It was such the tapes were, if you looked at them now, they were VHS and they were terrible. But if you could see them at all, people would buy. It was $150 a pop for a bootleg tape. And I was doing mail order shit. I made so much money. And it was great, but I used it all I was buying tapes and buying movies. And I worked
So it all basically went back into what you were doing most of the time.
Yeah, and I had to buy another VCR for $1,500. Yeah, I mean, and it was all blank videotapes, and it was all, my parents didn't even know, they didn't care. I mean, when I told my mom, it was so funny when she found this wad of cash. She was convinced I was selling drugs, and I'm like, "Mom, I'm 16 years old. Have you ever seen me smoke a cigarette? Have you ever seen me do drugs? Have you ever seen me do any of this?" She's like, "No." I said, "What do I do?" She goes, "All you do is you work, you go to school, and you watch movies." And I'm like, "Uh-huh. And?" And she goes, "Well, you watch movies, you sleep downstairs and make tapes." And I'm like, "Uh-huh." And she didn't I tried to explain to her. I go, "Mom, you get it. There's a reason that I'm sleeping downstairs, because every 2 hours I have one tape and I make 3 other copies. They're daisy chained together. I hit play on one tape, record on the other 3." And she goes, "Oh." And I go, "Why do you think I'm always putting tapes in brown paper bags and sending them out? Have you ever known any kid that goes to the mailbox or goes to the post office more than me?" She goes, "No." I go, "Do you ever ask me why I do that?" And she's like, "No." I go, "Because I'm sending people movies that have sent me money in the mail." And she's like, "Well, that's okay, as long as I wasn't selling drugs." I'm like, "Oh, no. The FBI could bust me for bootlegging. Like I had this nice business going. I'm 16, and you're like, that's fine, as long as you're not selling drugs."
It's just movies. Who cares?
Nobody cared. Nobody cared.
I love those bootlegs in the Philippines that were shot in a theater. You hear people clapping and everything, right? Sometimes you see a person walking in front of the screen.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was people. It's so funny because people don't know. here's the thing that people don't understand. You used to not be able to get a movie when you wanted to see it.
Yeah,
Any
yeah.
any movie. And I got my VCR in May of 1980.
Wow.
It was for my 13th birthday, my bar mitzvah. And I used to have kids come to my house every day after school. There's like 15 kids because that's all that would fit. And my mom was like, you know, she was like, oh, you're showing your friends movies. Then she started getting calls. Your son showed my daughter Animal House. It's R-rated and there's nudity. And it was so funny because my mom's like, she just didn't give a fuck. She's like, and she was like, my son's very industrious. He's working at video stores and he's bringing home these movies and showing them to his friends. I mean, my mom thought it was cool that I was like organized and there were people coming over. And I'm like, I'm going to get Alien next week. And people are like, oh my God, that's R-rated. My mom wouldn't let me see it. I'm like, okay. And I would organize the screenings. I'm like, who's going to come to Alien? You know, and then I'd have like late night screenings. I'm like, Mom, can my friends come over? And they're like, as long as they're quiet. And I'm showing, you know, R-rated movies to 13-year-old kids. I'm like, just be quiet. My mom didn't give a fuck. They're sleeping right upstairs. And now we have home theaters and all that. But those were the days, man. And now people don't even have no clue. And now I can order 4 Dutch sex films right here while we're on the air. Click.
Well, you know, in the Philippines, we had what they call they call it post-credit scenes now. We had our own version of that in the Philippines because they would constantly recycle these videotapes, Rob, to save money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the first time I saw this was we were watching The Breakfast Club for the 15th time, and my friend Tommy goes, dude, fast forward to the end credits. I'm like, fast forward to the end credits? Why? He goes, dude, there's something there. There's something there at the end. I'm like, okay. So I told my cousin, this girl cousin, I said, hey, I heard there's something in the end credits, and you know, our buddy was laughing devilishly about this. I think there's something nasty behind this tape. I was like, first thought in my head, something nasty. He said, oh, let's go see it. Let's go see it. So I put the tape in, no one was around. Fast forwarded, dude, it was Swedish erotica.
Oh my God. And by the way, okay, here's the thing about that. That was a huge deal. There was like 100. So for those of you who don't know, in the early 80s, the Swedish erotica series, I want to say, and a lot of them starred Seika.
Yeah.
And that was a huge. So here's the thing. I'm 13 years old. And one of my first jobs was I had a paper route, I worked in a frame store, and I worked in a video store at 13. And when I was 13, 33% of the tapes in any video store was pornography. And so I had not seen pornography, but the stores I worked in, because at the time it was porn always led the way for technology. You know, and I hadn't seen them, but the Swedish erotica series, they came in like these oversized, I want to say they're very red. The color red resonated with me, but you know, Swedish erotica and Seika, Seka, was a big star of these. And that was a big deal. So we had like a wall of Swedish erotica things. And it was something that, you know, at 13, even at 13, like we talk about now, kids are dealing with their sexuality. They're like, they're going to have puberty blockers at like 10. I'm like, I'm looking at Swedish erotica tapes at 13. I'm like, what is all this? I didn't see my first porn movie until I was 13. And I'm like, it scared the shit out of me. It was Devil Miss Jones. I'm like, my penis is never going to be that big. What am I going to do? I'm like, it was ginormous. This is kaiju movies. Like, this is Rodan and Godzilla fighting. Like, I had no idea what was going on. I'm like, oh my God. It was crazy. And no, seriously, because, you know, we had sex education, but we understood the mechanics, but no one talked about the sexuality. So the first porn film I saw, Georgina Spelvin in Devil and Miss Jones. And by the way, for those of you, the first thing that happens in Devil and Miss Jones, which is a pornographic film, very famous, a woman in a bathtub slits her wrists open and kills herself. That's the opening of Devil and Miss Jones. And I was like, oh my God. I'd never seen anything like that. Then she goes to Purgatory and she sees dicks that look like they were the size of the Grand Canyon. I'm like, oh, certainly not. Has nothing to do with me. I'm like, what do you do with that? Like,
what do we do with that? On that note, I mean,
I'd never seen anything like it before. And I'm like, you can't cut the party off right now.
I don't want to cut the party off, but Mikey does have to go.
But before
I wanted to give Mikey a proper outro.
Yeah, you've cost me like $50 tonight, dude.
You'll get your money's worth. Before I go,
yeah, but now I'm like, I'm an old man. I've got a girlfriend. I'm like, hi, honey, watch this like Filipino exploitation sex film from the 70s. I mean, she doesn't even know I have like, hi, honey, watch Taboo 1 through 4. I mean, it's so funny. She's going to start coming here because we're going to do whining about movies. And I've rearranged my whole collection. She's like, what's this? And I'm like, it's 70s bush porn.
We started off so sanitarily when you were talking about the card season 3 bootleg. I don't know. Go ahead, Mikey.
You mean this?
So Seika and I are Facebook friends. And so
oh my God.
And a couple of years ago, she said she greeted me happy birthday. And I'm like, one of the biggest thrills of my life, Seika greeted me happy birthday on Facebook. Oh, awesome. Like, I took a screenshot of it. It was so cool.
This is why I love you, because how many people even know who Seika is? When I was a kid, everybody knew who Seika was. Everybody.
Marilyn Chambers, come on. You knew all these people.
Marilyn Chambers. Okay, first of all, star of Behind the Green Door.
Yeah.
But also the Downey girl. She was in the Downey commercials. And lest we forget, David Cronenberg cast her in his second feature film, Rabid.
Yeah. She was awesome in there, too. She could really
awesome.
But anyway, you have to work on the site, but man, what a night. It's probably our best show yet.
Well, happy birthday, sir.
You too, Rob.
It's always a pleasure to stream with you, and thanks for sending me the digital version of the comic. I still want a hardcover or a soft flipper or whatever.
I'll get you those. Yeah, your name's in there. Come on, you gotta have.
And I hope that Zod's not like demonetizing us.
No, trust me, I could have said some things tonight that would have tipped the card over, but I didn't.
Well, I mean, I'll do it next week after I watch what I've purchased that you made me purchase.
So now I'm really curious about that. Let's Get Physical Media episode, because that's going to be,
Well, for those of you who don't know, every Sunday with Dieter Bastian from Germany, who, by the way, did get me that Emmanuel box set, we do Let's Get Physical Media. It's terrible. I can never hit those notes. But we do talk about that. I don't know if I'll get them in time. If I will get them in time, I don't know, because I did get a big box of Physical Media today. But which, by the way, that box had 2 of Jean Rollins' great French lesbian vampire movies, which you can't go wrong. Oh, wow. Shiver of the Vampire and The 2 Orphan Vampires, one of his more modern films. I'm looking to get his film Fascination, but they're all coming out because, by the way, who doesn't need more lesbian vampirism in their lives? I would say
vampire lovers,
Oh my God. Okay, first of all, that's the Karnstein, that's the Hammer Karnstein vampire trilogy.
Yeah,
there is The Vampire Lovers, there is Lust for a Vampire, and Twins of Evil. And by the way, they're all out on Blu-ray.
Really, I've seen Twins of Evil. I've seen Vampire. I haven't seen the other one. Like, well, I missed that one.
Lust for a Vampire is the middle one.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I saw Twins of Evil. And there's a picture of Famous Monsters, and you see the Twins of Evil. If you know what I mean. Like, those
Oh
are
yeah.
those are nice
Oh.
twins.
They are. By the way, Twins of Evil is the third one.
Yeah,
That movie's awesome. Peter Cushing kicks ass.
yeah.
And the boobies and the violence.
That's
are
what I mean.
great
Yeah,
in that film.
those Twins of Evil.
Oh yeah, no, the Twins of Evil is epic. People are like, what? So for those of you at home, there was a British film studio called Hammer, and it was basically a big house, and a lot they made thrillers, they made the Quatermass movies, they made a lot of genre films, and they made a lot of horror movies. But starting in the late 60s, early 70s, they decided to make a lot of risque horror films with lots of like beautiful Swedish girls with and exposing their boobs. A lot of boobs, no bush, but boobs and blood. And it was awesome. And my favorite Hammer film is, by the way, which is amazing, is a movie called Vampire Circus.
Yeah,
if you haven't seen Vampire Circus,
seen it,
Vampire Circus is dope. And of course, Hammer made the Frankenstein movies where Christopher Lee was the Frankenstein monster. They made my Christopher Lee autographed Prince of Darkness poster, and they made a lot of great films, but they did them at a very low budget level. But the vampire films, they were known for their sexuality and their blood. And of course, it was all the patriarchal male gaze. Whatever. Yeah, because if you didn't have the male gaze, do you think there's no female gaze when it comes to boobs? They have boobs. They're not looking at them.
Yeah.
The men are looking at boobs. The male gaze is about boobs because we don't have boobs, and we spend our time. Here's the thing about guys and girls. We gestate inside women, and we spend the rest of our lives trying to get back inside where we gestated.
There you go.
That's where we wanted to be. You know, I'm just saying. I think it's pretty simple to understand. But the Karnstein Vampire Trilogy, it's the Vampire Lovers, it is Lust for a Vampire, and Twins of Evil. And Twins of Evil has great violence and great nudity.
And great cinematography. These films are beautifully lit, you know. Just reminded me of Kate Bush song Hammer Horror.
Oh my God. I mean, Kate Bush, whether she's talking about Wuthering Heights,
yeah,
or whether she's talking about Hammer Horror, or this woman's work. I mean, come on. Thank God you know Kate Bush. I mean, Babushka.
Babushka, oh, that's great, man. Army Dreamers, you know.
Army, dude, you know your shit. I had a laser disc of all that stuff. I love Kate Bush.
God, man, I love her. The first album I ever bought was Hounds of Love, dude. That's the first album I ever.
Dude, so good.
I mean, just like it blew my mind. Like, what the fuck?
Hounds of Love.
Wow. The Hounds of
Love. Hounds of Love, yeah. You
the
know?
Hounds of Love.
Watching You Without Me, and there's just so many great songs on there. Cloud Busting, of course. And Running Up the Hills.
Cloud Busting, so good.
And all these kids are like, "Whoa, who's Kate Bush?" And it took her to the top of the charts. It's crazy.
It's funny. Tune in next week as R&B reacts to Debbie Does Dallas. No, Debbie Does Dallas is like the equivalent of Smokey and the Bandit when it comes to porn. Come on, man. Here's the thing. If you want to look at, here's the thing. Here's a sci-fi porn film you got to look up. Cafe Flesh.
I've seen it. Yes.
So Cafe Flesh is a porn film about a future where people can't touch each other because you have your irradiated or whatever, and the people that can are forced into sexual performance servitude. So Cafe Flesh, really interesting.
Came out in 1982.
Really? Is that old? Wow.
No, Cafe Flesh. There you go. Cafe Flesh. You know, or new what is it? New Wave Hookers?
New Wave
That's
Hookers,
not really a porn movie. That's more of a, is that Frank Henlotter? I don't remember. But yeah, so Cafe Flesh was, and the cinematography was crazy. But for if you really okay. Here's the thing. All right. Okay. Zara, here's the great now here's the funny thing. So if you look at the history of porn, these certain acts that you could or couldn't do. So like, and I'll just say it, like anal was not a thing in like the 70s until there was an actress named Constance Money who was in a movie called, I want to say it was Barbara Broadcast, but take that off the table. There was a director named Paul Nevins, who was AKA Andrew Blake. And one of the great MTV porn films of all time ever is a movie called House of Dreams that starred a woman named Zara White. And if you want your stylish MTV ultimate, like unbelievable, you have to look up House of Dreams.
I've never even heard of that. Okay, now you got me
Okay.
stumped on that one.
Look up House of Dreams. Look up Zara White. Look up Andrew Blake. His real name's Paul Nevins, who I met once at a color timing session when I was in a room where they were doing, I want to say, Age of Innocence in Jurassic Park, and I met Paul Nevins, who's Andrew Blake. I think he was Sheila Nevins' husband from HBO or whatever. But House of Dreams, look up House of Dreams, look up Zara White. House of Dreams is the shit. Again, it's a little MTV,
Yeah,
but unbelievable.
Which one is better, Cafe Flesh or House of Dreams?
Well, here's the thing. Cafe Flesh was trying to tell a story, trying to tell an interesting whereas okay, so but House of Dreams is this surreal fashion. You know what House of Dreams is? House of Dreams is like Patrick Nagel, who did all the art for Duran Duran's album covers, like Rio.
like Rio.
Patrick Nagel was the ultimate artist of the 80s. If Patrick Nagel was going to make a porn film, he would have made House of Dreams, directed by Andrew Blake.
And House of Dreams was out of Germany in 1990, right?
No, I think it was earlier than 1990.
How did I not see this ever?
It has to be a different. Maybe it was. I don't. It stars Zara White. If Zara White's the star,
yeah, Zara White's in it. Yeah, Zara White.
That's it. Maybe
Gianna,
Germany.
Gianna Fine, and Raven. That's who's in it.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
gents,
all I can tell you, I don't think it's 1990 though. It had to have been earlier. I think. I may be wrong.
Okay,
but,
gents, I have to go. But I was gonna bring up Necromantic, but I really have to go.
That's
all right. Well, give us a preview for next week, Mikey. Give us a preview for next week.
You know, let's just full on go B movies next week, right? Let's just go on full force. Favorite B movies, obscure films from the 70s and 80s. Let's do it. We'll be all over the place.
It's what we do anyway.
I know, exactly. Might as well just format it, right?
Well, what would be great is I wish our viewers would come back and watch some of this stuff and tell us what they think.
That's a great one.
That would be so much fun. Yeah, much fun.
Thank you for Scorpio Nights.
Well, it's funny because a lot of this stuff. Here's the funny thing about now, like all porn is just it's so mechanical. But if you look at like the thing about something like House of Dreams, is it's unbelievably beautifully shot.
Yeah.
And Andrew Blake, aka Paul Nevins, when he shot it, he's celebrating the female form, and it's really gorgeous. The music is gorgeous. Zara White is gorgeous. The imagery is incredible, and there's real feeling in it. And you know, the idea of pornography is the opposite of that. It's without feeling. And it's interesting to look at now, not just the sexual content,
Yeah.
but the beauty of how Paul. I'll tell you a funny story. So I was working on a movie called Arcade, full moon movie that
Yes,
it was the first movie that I edited, and our color, the guy Sachter, I want to say Paul Sachter, Dave Sachter, I don't remember his first name, but he was also color timing all the so Andrew Blake, Paul Nevins shot all of his footage on film, all of his pornographic footage on film, which is very unique. Most people were shooting video. He shot his footage on film, which means he had to telecine it and then they would color time it. And I know it seems funny, but it was art for him. It was art photography. And there was a scene when I never saw this movie where a woman is pissing into someone else's mouth. I want to say another woman's mouth. And it was backlit, so the stream of urine was back. I know it seems I know, but the stream of urine was backlit, so the light was shining through
backlit urine.
Yeah, so you had the twinkling of the light in the. I look. I mean this. I laugh all you want.
Mikel Red,
I'm
Dreamwalker.
I'm talking about this from a post-production perspective, and I remember Bob. I think it was Bob Sachter, and he was, trying to make this look proper, and this was NTSC video, so it wasn't high definition, 640 by 480 or whatever, and he's dealing with the color timing the way, and we're sitting there watching this, and we're all like, yeah, man, we have to dial down the color. It's a little too bright over here. And I'm literally watching a stream of urine close up going through a beautiful light. And we're all sitting there commenting on how to make it look better. This was the beginning of my post-production career. And this is true. This was actually happening. And it's like nowadays, you say this to people, I'm like, look, man, don't judge me. I'm just, I didn't know. I go into a color timing session to work on Arcade, and Paul Nevins, Andrew Blake, is color timing a stream of urine going from one beautiful woman into another woman's mouth, and I'm like, okay, looks fantastic.
I mean, you're editing. You got Peter Billingsley hanging out over there.
It was Peter Billingsley and I. It was the two of us. We were working on this, and that was what we were doing. And it was
okay, guys. On that note, I really have to go. Rob, have a great night. Thank you for being here. You're awesome, man.
People are like, what?
I'll see you guys later, man. This is the biggest laugh I've had.
See you next week,
time.
man.
I'm gonna send you my bill for what I've bought this stream. Thanks a lot, buddy.
You'll enjoy every minute of it. Trust me.
Oh, I can't wait.
See you guys.
Elizabeth's like, why did you buy this? Oh, you have to talk to Mikey Sutton.
Mikey Sutton.
I'm to blame once again. All right, see you guys. Take care.
Later.
Yeah.
Wow.
So are you demonetized? Are you pissed now?
I don't think so. I don't know. I never pay any attention to that anyway, actually, to be honest.
The funny thing is I'm not making any of this up. I mean, I'm telling you the truth. This was it was when we were starting out, you never knew what you would run into. And like that color timing facility that they literally were working. This is 93, so they were working on Jurassic Park, and this is the first time I ever saw HD. It was cutting edge stuff, and they were color timing Jurassic Park and Age of Innocence in high definition. I'd never seen that before, and it was amazing. We didn't get it until almost a decade later, but I was seeing the technology in use, and I mean, both of those films, Jurassic Park and Age of Innocence, had such amazing colors and things, and to see it on these monitors, like, oh my God, what is high definition 1080? Oh my God. It was like
there
that.
you go.
You
could get House of Dreams in 4K.
Oh, I wish. No, it was shot in NTSC. But you know, it's funny to say this kind of stuff, but that's what existed at the time. To me, House of Dreams was the ultimate MTV Duran Duran. It was all fashion and style and substance. It was even though the sex was hardcore, it was still very chaste because it was all beautifully shot. It was all fashion aware. It was hardcore, but it was also beautiful. But it was weird too, because all I can say is the funny thing about House of Dreams is that Zara White puts on a mask that has you just have to see it.
Yeah. I guess it's just something that you have to check out.
It's like the Matrix. You can't explain what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself.
Yeah. So it's, that's, what can we say? So what do you got coming up? What do you got coming up, Rob? I know you got
well, I'll tell you.
Physical media.
I am starting a panel show. Everyone has
Beautiful.
been asking me, fill in. Like, I don't quite know. I haven't talked to John about what he's been doing. He's going all podcast only and doing. So I'm going to start a panel show, and my panel show is going to be called The Imagination Connoisseurs.
Oh, it's definitely needed in this space.
And the thing is, it's not just going to be a news show. It's going to be much more of a philosophy. We're going to talk about news, the news of the day, but everyone on the show is going to be actual people that work in various aspects of the industry. So other than just being pundits who are, not that people pontificating about their points of view are bad. What I want to do is the thing that I have that other people don't have is industry experience as far as it goes. Yeah. I mean, and I don't mean to say it, like, my whole thing is I'm in like Mr. Indie guy living on the fringes. I'm not somebody like Kevin Smith, or I don't have that kind of credibility. But I've also done a lot of different kinds of things. I've worked in a lot of different capacities. I haven't just been a director. I've done a lot of different things. And I've been kind of a pinball that has been both a blessing and a curse. And so what I want to do is I want to have a show where people are like me. They've done a lot of different things, but they've actually worked in the industry. So they're not just opining, going, well, I like that movie. Right. I don't. So there's enough of that. There's and most of the time I'm part of that. So that it's not that I have something against it, but I had to ask, if I'm going to do a panel show, what can I bring that's different to the space? And what I can bring is people that have actually worked in various aspects of, whether it's in video games, whether it's one of my panelists that I hope I can get her. She's a novelist. She's a young novelist. She's written a couple of novels,
nice,
that have been published. And so it's all people that have done things. There's a woman who married a guy who's a doctor, and her name's Kathy Flan, and she wrote a book called How to Survive a Human Attack. And it's a monster manual written from the perspective of the monsters. They're like, there are humans out there, and if you've done this thing, this is how they're going to come after you. And it's so good. And it's all about how can monsters stay away from humans who are trying to kill them. And it's a wonderful book. And I love it so much. And she's a renowned poet and stuff. And I want to get her to come on the show because I love her writing. I love her work. She's so funny. And I'm trying to get people to come on the show that are of different artistic disciplines, but that have actually made stuff, you know, and it's not that I want to make it highfalutin or anything, but I want to have people that have actually done work. So when we're opining on things, we can also add a little bit of, well, this sucked, you know, when I did this, or like it was so hard.
Tying it all into actual experiences.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah, because I still want to do Robservations, and on my channel, I still want to, like, one of the things I love about my own channel, Robservations, is like King Tannic, Israel, who just celebrated his 21st birthday. Here's a guy that contacted me, and he said, you know, you're always talking about putting stuff on your channel. I want to do an anime show called The Otaku Experience. 20 years old. And I said, I love that. I love anime. You know, I love animation. And all I ask of you is, I'd love it to be he wanted to be once a week. And I said, can I make it every Thursday? And we'll debut it at 2:00 in the afternoon. And what I want it plug and play. I want the least amount of work. Give me the show, give me the description, the title, and a thumbnail. And tomorrow is the 16th episode. I mean, he's been doing it for months, and he's been killing it. And I've been falling down on the job in the sense that I need to start promoting a show. I need to start, like, literally spending some money and advertising his show, because he's doing such a great job. And he's just turned 21, you know, and I love what he's done. I think it's really great. And that's what I want my own YouTube channel to be. I called it the Burnett Work. I mean, only because my name is Burnett. And I was like, Burnett Work
Makes perfect sense. You know,
like
again,
observations,
Robservations,
which is goofy but fun, and also so people know that I'm not totally pretentious. I'm also kind of a douchebag, kind of both, you know. And I think that's kind of the best way to be. Like, you can be industry professional, or you can be indie guy, or self-glorified asshole, or all in one. And to make it fun. Yeah. My whole you know, in the whole YouTube space, the thing that I always wanted to make it was like going to a science fiction convention where there's all these great panels, and there's all these great people that you can hear about that have different disciplines, that love different things, like your book that you're writing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the fact that you're writing this book, I would love to do, like, I would love to do like a Burnett Works special edition of your book, like 100 issues of your book, slipcased, leather bound. You can only get it on my channel, only 100.
That would be perfect.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
Right? And how cool would that be? Because you are an imagination connoisseur. That's what I call my audience. But you're actually doing something. You're writing a book.
That's right. Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, hey, Zod writer. He doesn't just say he's a Zod writer. He is the Zod writer. Here's his book coming out, and there's going to be a special 100 copy issue that we're going to sell on the Burnett Work of your book. It's slipcase, leather bound, whatever. You come on the show, you present it. That's what because you're doing something.
That would be perfect. That'd be amazing.
Right?
Yeah. This book is probably, Rob, and I love that you said that. That makes good sense. And the fact is, the book is probably, and I'll make this announcement right now, the book most likely at this point, because I have so much material, the book is likely going to be 2 books.
Okay.
At this point.
Well, great. Then we'll do a double volume slipcase thing. I mean,
yeah,
but here's what I want to do. Here's what I think. Look, we have the deluge of AI rolling down on us, all entertainment. In 5 years, I don't know if anyone's going to go to the theater, because they're going to be putting in prompts and they're going to be creating their own movies at will. So who knows? However, I've always said that I think the great currency of the 21st century is authenticity. In 5 years, people are going to be begging to watch a real human being, whether it's on YouTube or whatever platform that exists, holographic, whatever. They're going to be begging to hear real opinions from real people.
Yes.
Because
Great.
AI is not going to cut it. I mean, it's going to get realistic.
Hey, you remember last week how we came up with Martin Scorsese's next film? I mean, it's
dude, and we did. And you know, here's the funny thing. Did you see him in Cannes this week talking about Killers of the Flower Moon? I'm like, well, what about our New Orleans feature?
And remember how he was saying how he's got a lot more stories he wants to tell, but he feels like his time is almost up. I'm like, man, it's crazy.
No, and I think like look, I honestly believe that in our AI drenched culture, which is going to get real old real fast, that people who have real honest opinions are going to real like even venues like YouTube. I mean, what I really hope happens is that big tech does not come down and stomp on everybody. I think we live in a world where it's funny because I've always believed in live and let live. I've always been, I mean, I had lots of LGBTQ friends from a very early age, but it's only been in the last like 8 years that things have gotten really weird and strange, where it's become not just that, but politically or socially or whatever, that people have become angry. Like, I'm like, hey man, let's go party. I don't give a fuck. Let's who you are, what you are, let's go. If we're having a good time. Nowadays, everybody wants you to join their team. I'm like, if you want me to join your team, we have to go out and have a good weekend. We have to have like a lost weekend. When nowadays people don't want to do that. They're like, I think human nature is being sacrificed, and it's really weird.
Yeah,
and it is weird. Like, I'm like, okay, look, for me, my entire life, if I wanted to find satisfaction, self-satisfaction, whatever, I had to go out and find it. It was out there. Like, you had to go out there and find it. Like, to me, that's what I understood. Like, if you stay at home and you're nothing will happen. You have to get in your car, get on the bus, wherever you have to go travel and make shit happen and find stuff out. And it never occurred to me to like, I met all kinds of crazy, wacky people.
Wacky.
And I would, I loved that. I'm like, all your weird, crazy. I mean, I would go to weird drag shows. I was way underage. I shouldn't have gone. I saw so many crazy things and met so many crazy people. But I met them because I had to go out. I mean, and I knew that I didn't know what was coming. All I knew was I had to step out. I had to go find it. I had to go experience it. And whatever happened, I didn't tell anybody. It was mine. It was my experience. And all these crazy people I knew. And nowadays, I see all these people on screens talking about whatever. And I'm like, you cannot expect the world to be the way you want it to be. The world is the way it is. You need to man up, sack up, armor up, whatever the fuck you need to do. You need to go out into the world and find out how amazing it is and go have adventures and all this. And there's going to be a lot of things that you're not going to like that happen to you. But that's the price you pay, because the universe is not about you. The universe will crush you. The universe will destroy you ultimately. The universe is infinite. And whatever you think, whatever you want, whatever you desire, None of it matters in the face of the universe. But you know what? Go out there and taste that infinitude. Make it great. Go have an experience. Do not think the world needs to revolve around you. And you know what? If someone doesn't know what your gender is, you have to go with it. Why would they? How are they fucking supposed to know who you are? And the fact that you think the world should know anything about you is wrong. The world will accept you if you go out and accept the fucking world.
That's right.
It's all out there. You need to go find it. And you know what? It's difficult. It's hard. It's exciting and amazing. And don't you ever think that they should ever, or anybody should ever accept you. You need to go out and find the world. And the world is waiting. And go out there, man. Go out there and get it. Find it. Experience it. And don't ever think it should owe you anything, because it won't. The world is out there. The universe is out there, and it will fucking destroy you. But if you have the wherewithal, if the excitement, you'll never know what you're going to find. That's all I'm saying. And you know what, Zod? I had a great life. If I died tomorrow, I don't want to. There's movies I want to see. I have to wait for the movies that I bought tonight, right on this show.
Oh yeah. Mikey's movies.
Yeah, I mean, the world's a great place, and I can't believe all that. Look, there's a lot of crazy people out there. We are dealing with, where's common sense? Don't know. But you know what, man? There's a lot of great stuff going on. There's a lot of great things happening, and if you want to go out and take it, there's never a better time, because there's a lot of people that want to stay and bitch and moan and complain, which is fine. But that all that means is like, hey, listen, I hear what you're saying. You walk right by those people and you go take. I mean, our unemployment rates are down. There are so many opportunities right now. Stop bitching and moaning and complaining about whatever's. I feel this way. No, you know what? You feel this way because you're a lazy fuck. Go out and make the world what you want it to be. Don't expect the world to bend to your will. You need to go out there and take it, because it's all out there for the taking. For smart people know what's up, man.
And people also need to realize that they cannot control what other people are going to do. So they might as well not worry about it.
No, and it's so weird. I mean, here's the thing. I understand how a lot of people get satisfaction by, like, I never thought people would tell on other people. Nowadays, I mean, if Anne Frank was living next to you, people would sell her out and tell the police, there's a Jew up there. I'm Jewish. There's like a synagogue my family paid money to build, or actually a chapel, part of a synagogue, was defaced a couple of weeks ago. Anti-Semitic. I'm like, wow, that there has never been in Seattle, anti-Semitic rhetoric spray painted on this in my entire lifetime until now. So there's a lot of craziness in the world. But all I would say is what I can't stand is, to me, the world has gone and got really lazy. It's all about, well, I want to feel better about my life. I'm like, okay, then go do something about it. Why do you expect somebody else to make you feel good about your life? If something is wrong, if you feel you're wronged, or don't go after them and expect satisfaction. You go do something and make some cool shit happen. And then you'll feel better. Zod wrote a fucking book that might be 2 books. You know what? And you went through a crisis of conscience. You didn't know if you were going to finish. I was one of the people that said you should push through.
You were one of those people that when you came out and said what you said, it hit me, because I was like, yeah, this is one of those things. It's gotta happen. You gotta just,
dude,
go with it.
Look, I'm selfish because I want to fucking read the book.
Oh yeah.
I want to read your book. And the fact that you're writing a book, I mean, think about that. To sit down and put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard or whatever. That's ambitious. That's wherewithal. Most people are lazy fucks today. They think I made a TikTok video. It's 90 seconds long. I'm a famous star or whatever. No, man. You have made a real commitment that takes a long time. And at the end of the day, you'll have something to show for it, and I'll pay for it.
It's going to be amazing to finally have it all done, and that's the day that I'm waiting for. You know, when I hold the manuscript in my hands and I say, okay, it's all done now. I can move on, and now I can start writing my next book.
Well,
But the thing is that there's so much to this story, and it's so fluid. That's why I say it's probably going to end up being 2.
But the fact that you're doing it, that's the important part.
Yeah.
I mean, so often in this day and age, I mean, and even me, I with AI and all that, I'm like, do I want to make another movie? I mean,
AI kind of depresses things a little bit, doesn't it? See, now that's something to kind of be depressed about when you think about it ultimately as a creative. Because
but here's the thing. Like I've always said, in the AI world, the greatest currency is authenticity.
Right.
And if people know that they're seeing you, that you're not some digital recreation, they're hearing your words, your opinion. I think real authenticity is going to be the currency of the rest of the 21st century. Because AI, I mean, by the way, I'm already tired of AI generated YouTube content. I'm done. You know, it's funny. A kid contacted me and he made a video based on my work, my observations. I put it up tonight. He cut it together. It was great. He took something from my own observations, cut it into a 9-minute video, and he sent it to me. He's like, I would love to. I've been watching you for 8 years. I'm like, bro, this is fantastic. He took something, my ramblings on a observation stream, and made it into a 9-minute video about IP in Hollywood. And I'm like, this is really great. And I'm like, dude, you're hired, man. Come join the team. And it was somebody, he did it on his own accord. I didn't ask him to do it. He did it on his own, sent it to me. I'm like, this is fucking great. I'm gonna hire you. I mean, I can't pay you right away. If the channel makes more money, we will, you know, let's do it. But he did the work, and I'm like, this works great. I have no ego to bruise. I mean, he made, and here's a guy that's I've been watching for years, and I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. If that's what I want to do with this channel. If I don't get to make another movie, I just want to find very talented people around the world, like Lana Ewan and her husband Alan. I didn't know them. You know, they're doing videos on my channel, and they're really well produced. They're so much fun. And on her own channel, you know, she was doing them before they wouldn't get much traction. I want to get them more traction, but they're still getting thousands of more views.
There you go.
But I'm like, all these people that bring me stuff, I'm like, yes, let's use this platform, this worldwide platform, to bring to people like-minded individuals. Let's put smiles on people's faces. Not because necessarily that we're giving them a narcotic, but we're giving them a place where they can express their opinions free of charge or free of judgment. You know, people come to us and they're like, yeah, man, I heard what you said and I was thinking about this. And I'm like, well, fuck you is not part of my vocabulary. I'm like, if you want to come here and you want to espouse your view, please come. I want to make a place where everyone is welcome, both sides of the aisle, no judgment.
That's the one thing that you always do. I mean, and you and I both have this philosophy. You know, if you have something to say, you can come on the channel and you can say what you want to say. And then it's so funny how you always have the the aggressors and the trolls and the losers that are the ones that want to call somebody out, and then they don't want to follow up when they get invited. They want to change the parameters on where it's going to be, who you get. No, that's not how we do it. If you get invited, then you come on there and you say what you have to say.
I've actually been very disappointed by a lot of people. Like, for me, I am mostly in a state of joy. There's so much for my own interest. There is so much cool shit, in terms of like toys, action figures, model kits, whatever I love. The best ever. We're getting the best versions of all that than we've ever had before. Books, comics, collectibles, call it what you want. We're getting the best of everything. And on eBay and secondary sellers, you can get everything you want. Everything. It's an amazing time to be alive.
Yeah.
And yet, in my life, I've always looked outward, like outside of myself. I've never lived in a world where I expected my affirmation to come to me. The affirmation I needed was I had to go out and get it. Like, I had to find things and go out and think, you had to do the work. Nowadays, I see a lot of people that are angry and mean and all this. They're not doing the work. They're not doing anything. They're sitting at home. They're getting all this stuff coming into them, all this input. Well, that's easy, and I'm like, I used to get mad about it, and people said a lot of mean shit or whatever. I'm like, well, I get it. You are not a self-actualized human being. You've never had fun in your life. You don't even know what it's like to go out on a Friday or Saturday night and meet a girl or a guy that you've liked and have that tension and wondering where it's going to go. Like, I thought everyone had that. Most of the people we deal with now don't, because no one's going out. No one's going out. No one's having fun. They're sitting at home and talking. It's like,
social media is a disease. That's what it's got to become.
Yeah. And marrying Cobretti is the cure, and I'm the cure. And it's by the way, on the Sylvester Stallone site, there's actually a Cobra action figure coming out. I must own it.
Oh my God! Wow.
But I mean, it's like, yeah, man, you got to go out. You can't sit around on social media. Turn your phone off. As a matter of fact, how about phone off Fridays? Let's promote that. Turn your phone off. It's like being a Hasidic Jew or Orthodox Jew. When the sun goes down on Friday, we should make this a thing. Like, okay, you turn your phone off until Monday morning at 7 a.m. You're when the sun goes down on Friday, you turn your phone off, and here's your mandate. Go out and kiss a member of the opposite sex or the same sex if that's what you want. Whatever you want, go out and find it. Go spend your Friday night and your Saturday night having adventures. No phones.
Those are the best times, man. When I've had this happen before. Like, when I've gone out, like, there's been a few that times where I've gone out with and when you go out and you have a really good time with a friend or a member of the opposite sex, if you're into that, whatever you're into, right?
I'm into sex,
and you definitely and I purposely leave my phone at home.
Yeah,
and it's the greatest time ever. It's like the greatest.
Because you're
time.
Not okay. By the way, for anyone listening to the stream, there's a company that we should all be aware of. It's called Humane. And if you want to find out about it, there's a course you should take. There's a video made by a guy. It's from 11 months ago, June of 2022. Find this video on YouTube. What is Humane? I forget the name of the video. What is this company, Humane? How is it going to change the world? It's mostly made of the most baller ex-Apple employees. Nice. They are going to revolutionize, and their idea is to take computing and make the hardware invisible.
Yeah, I saw
So,
that.
yeah. Well, company called Humane. Go back, find this video from June 2022. Look it up. Humane. It's one guy trying to figure out, because it's a very secret company, and see what they're doing. And what they're doing is they're going to get rid of this. No more cell phones. You're going to be wearing a piece of tech right here. And everything you need, if you want to do your phone, you'll be like this. Punch your phone in. It'll call somebody. We are on the verge of incredible technological advancement.
We'll be cyborgs. We'll be basically merged with the technology.
No. Here's the thing. What Humane is doing, what they want to do is, when you're going to go to a concert, you'll never have to do this again. Because their wearable technology will be able to record whatever you want. You will no longer have technology between your eyes and the world.
That's awesome.
This is the great thing. And this is what Humane wants to do. They want to make technology invisible. Yes, you have to wear this little piece of, but it's going to have laser technology. It's what they're doing is insane. And no one knows really about it. Look it up. Humane. Look up the company. But what's great is take the journey of the videos you can see, and find this one. Start with the one video from June of 2022 about this kid, I don't know who he is, talking about technology, talking about Humane, and breaking down what the company is. And then go to the TED Talk from like 2 weeks ago, where Iman Chowdhury, the guy who started the company, handsome, like Indian descent dude, and shows you some of this. You'll see where it's going to go. It's insane. We are on the verge of unbelievable awesomeness, and yet we are still mired in. We're talking about the debt ceiling, the Republicans and the Democrats. It's like, Jesus Christ. How about, like, let's advance the planet? Like, all this ridiculous infighting. I don't care. I really don't care whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. I don't care. But how about the fact that our entire politics is fighting? And let's make it about what makes the country better. And we are fighting. We there's such an impasse. If we don't solve the debt ceiling issue, we are fucked. The United States is fucked. And the idea that it's become political, it's like, you guys, we need to figure this shit out, like, right now. And the Republicans are going, well, Democrats, you can't spend so much money. Like, okay, well, let's be honest. I mean, the Republicans, tax cuts, billions of dollars. No one is telling the truth. We have a problem we have to fix. You know what? You know who's really good at fixing problems? Americans. If you live next to somebody, if you're a neighbor and you are having a problem building a trellis on your house, do you know what's amazing? Your neighbors will look at you and go, hey, man, do you need some help fixing that? They don't give a fuck what your political affiliations are. If they're your neighbor and you know them and you wave hello and they see that you need some help, Americans are the first people in the world that walk over and say, hey, can I give you a hand? That's what Americans do. That's whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, Americans are the very first people to offer a helping hand. That's our strength. That's what we do best. Hey, man, do you need some help? Well, yes. All right. What do you need me to do? Let me hold it. Americans are great at that. That's what we're the best at that. Europeans like, I can't be bothered. Americans will help you. That's our best thing. It doesn't matter what political affiliation you are. And yet our politics is so divisive. It's like the debt ceiling. That'll fuck us. And you're going to turn it like the Republicans are like, oh, you have to spend less money. Well, we can't. We know we should, but we can't. And if you're going to use that against us, what does that have to do with our debt ceiling? Everything is a give and take. It's like, we need to fix a problem. let's fix the problem and then deal with the issue. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I'm sorry, I'm going off. Only because I've drank a lot tonight. And I
Well,
freely admit that.
it's definitely been a packed show. A lot of great stuff covered tonight, especially, you know, Mikey Sutton's pornography and, you know, bootleg Star Trek Picard. It's been great. So I guess we'll end
I
it
hope you want
here.
me back next week.
Absolutely. I guess we're going to end it here and look forward to next week. Mikey said we're going to bring up B movies, which we always talk about anyway. I'll pull out my Blu-ray copy of Roger Corman's Fantastic Four, and we'll talk all about that great stuff.
In a world, we're on the Zod Rider podcast, on the YouTube show that the Zod Rider brings you. Who knows what B movies will show up next week? All you need to know is you can't miss it.
Here's the question. Here's the question for you, Rob. Is Showgirls a B movie?
Fuck no.
Triple A.
Paul Verhoeven's masterpiece of Las Vegas strippers, written by Joe Esterhaus. Showgirls. Come on. It's one of the greatest. Well, hang on a second. What would you call it? How do you call that movie? It's not a B movie. It's, you know what? It's an A-list movie that aspires to be a B movie.
That's a great way to look at it.
How about that?
Hey, we should be getting our copies from Vinegar Syndrome pretty soon.
Boom, chick, boom, bow. Can we talk about Vinegar Syndrome? Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
In a world. I can't wait. I cannot wait. Because I do have, Dieter Bastian did get me the German 4K, and it's the color timing is not good. It's not good.
Well, this is
now it's funny.
This
that
is
we
supposed
actually,
to. This one's supposed to be a new transfer, right?
Oh, it is. They went. But you know what's funny? Like, we're talking about the transfer of Showgirls. You know, it's not like Godfather.
You're like the color timing was off.
You know, I don't think the pink is exactly the kind of pink that they were looking for. When Jos Vacano and Verhoeven were looking into, like, making sure that when we watched the character of Nomi Malone, Dance Goddess, that the pink was exactly what we wanted. But you know what? I love the fact that we live in a world where we can discuss this
freely.
It's nice.
Yes, very nice. So be looking forward to next week's Wednesday weekly late night party. And I've got a Zod Rider show coming up this weekend with APAS, so you're going to want to check that out. And if you like this show, definitely like, share, and subscribe. You know, I don't like saying those things, but
I don't ever say them either.
I guess they help. I don't know, but whatever. I just want to come out and provide good content. So it is what it is.
Yeah. And people should like and subscribe and join your channel memberships and all that stuff, because come on, man, you know, you do provide good content.
I mean, and speaking of good content, I want to say, man, Observations, the Burnett work, you're doing some great stuff over there, Rob, and I'm so happy that you are diversifying it in terms of all of these great new content creators, like some of the ones you mentioned earlier.
Lana, I mean, you know, Lana, you and her husband Alan, and you know, I just dropped the first. So I'll tell you, I said before, a guy contacted me and he did a video of he took one of my shows, cut it down, and he cut it together with stuff, and I was like, wow, this is really great. I put it up tonight. I've created a whole new show, a whole new video series. It's called A Robservations Close Up, and you can see it. I put it up tonight, and that was done by a viewer. And what I'm looking to do on my channel is step up the quality of the video, step up the quality of the entertainment value, and the idea of having a network and making great shows and great, the idea to celebrate what imagination connoisseurs are interested in, which is imagination. We're all imagination connoisseurs. We want to see great flights of fancy. We want to be entertained by beautifully written, resonant stories that are not compromised by making it part of some universe or some agenda. It's all about great stories well told. Stephen King said it on writing. Great stories well told. That's all we want. And you know what? The Burnett Work as a network on YouTube or whatever is all about celebrating imagination connoisseurs, celebrating our post-geek singularity community and what the world we want to live in is all about, which is beautiful, heartfelt stories that help us move forward into the future and be the best human beings we can be. And if that's too highfalutin, well, okay, but that's kind of what I want to do.
It's fantastic. Fantastic. And so on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to say goodnight, and we will see you next week.
All right.